We are now on Facebook and we are live on Zoom.
All right.
We're ready to go.
Well, I will call the Wednesday, August 10th, 2022 regular meeting of the Cohasset School Committee to order. We are live and in person at the Learning Commons, and we are also allowed to attend virtually via Zoom and Facebook. Facebook is watch, listen only. Zoom is chat enabled, so you can put comments in through the Zoom chat feature, and they will be read by one of us at the meeting in person. With that, I will go with a roll call. We will start with Mr. Carr, who is maybe coming in online. I don't know if you see him yet, Dr.
I
Sullivan.
do not see him yet. Nope, I do not. I have another attendee. I'll watch it closer, but I do not see him yet. Maybe Dr. Collins, you can help me.
Ms. Kearney, I know will be a few minutes late for the beginning of the meeting, so we'll go to Mr. McCollum.
Present, Craig McCollum.
Ms. St. Ange,
Present.
and I, Mr. Dial, am also here. That gives us 3 out of 5, which is a majority and therefore a quorum of the school committee. So we can now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. To our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Not the minutes reflect that I messed that up. And then, Ms. St. Ange, can I impose on you while Mr. Carr is here, if you help take notes for minutes in your former capacity? I appreciate that. Thank you. Opening remarks. We have no specific opening remarks from me. So we will go to our public comment section. This is a section we open for the public to add comments that are addressing items not on the agenda. If you have comments on items on the agenda, we request that you delay those comments for those agenda items and we will get to them. So with that, we'll pause for a couple beats and see if we have any public comments. No public comments, correct, Dr. Sullivan? Dr. Sullivan?
No public comments.
Excellent. So with that, we'll move to our invited guests. As those of you who online can see, there's no one here.
No invited. guests.
Invited or
Everyone's
otherwise.
invited, but no guests.
So we will pass through our invited guests and we'll go into school updates. I'll turn it over to Dr. Sullivan.
Thank you very much, Chairman Dial. Thank you, everybody. It's good to see all of you. I feel like the summer obviously is in full swing and it was nice to get some relaxation with family and I hope everybody has done the same. And it's amazing around here how you can really see the switch turn in August. You know, you hit August and it gets much more intense. I mean, Dr. Stallings and I today was incredibly busy for us. We were, it was very good, a lot of planning. And there's a lot to look forward to in the district. And, we have a bunch of families coming in. We had 3 wonderful programs going on sort of simultaneously as we sort of moved our summer learning program, our ESY program, and our kindergarten jumpstart program. But we had 80 to 90 families in there.
Yeah, just shy of 100. Yeah.
Which is amazing. Well,
that was Principal Farrell and
yes.
it was so wonderful. Just a nice way for students and parents to dip their toe in.
It was great. And to show you, I mean, I was so surprised when I think the last time I spoke with you, Mr. Dial, I had said there were probably 40 or 50 families, and I quickly checked and I realized there were more, like double that. So we didn't even need the year to kind of get people into it. People just, there was a desire there and they jumped right at it. So very excited to have those families. And if they're first-time families to Cohasset, welcome to what we think is the best school district and getting better. So we're very, very excited for that.
And I was excited for the 2035 when I saw that that was their graduation date.
That's
I had
right.
to take a little step back.
It was very nice to be greeted by a big banner that said class of 2035. And I'll share on screen just some updates. There we go. It's not sharing complete screen, but there we go. All right. So thought I'd share a few things here. We did have a conversation last school committee meeting about our leadership retreat. And I was asked if I could share the agenda to leadership, which I had shared with the school committee, but I thought everybody would just quickly like to see what we've done, what we did. We typically have 2 days that we do as a leadership team. One is more of a business meeting and the second is a retreat. And I really can't call the whole thing a retreat unless you're somewhere away from Cohasset Public Schools. But we go to the Lighthouse Keepers, and we're very thankful to the town for letting us use that facility for the second day. It just provides a nice atmosphere for some visioning and learning for our leadership team. This year, we're doing that on August 18th. But on July 19th, we did welcome, I'm just kidding. Hi, you see it? We did welcome many members of our town safety officials. So we had members of our emergency management, we had Pratt, we had Chief Quigley, Detective Lieutenant Lopes, obviously our school resource officer, Officer Taylor, Chief Dockery, we had facilities, we had a bus transportation coordinator, we had a food service director, we had Mr. McClellan joined us there, school committee representation, and we had a pretty robust conversation about safety based on a safety assessment that was done by an outside company. And we had AI3, the architectural firm here, doing the full facilities group. But we started off in the morning before we got to that with a review of our strategic plan. Everyone knows we have a strategic plan from 2021 to 2024. So last year was our first year in that plan. And we looked at basically what have we done. We had some initiatives that anybody can see if they look on the website that we hoped to have achieved, some of which we did, some of which we realized we need to go deeper. And that is very typical of a district strategic plan. It's really a live, dynamic document where you're setting goals, and if you don't quite reach a goal, well, you can readapt it. And then new things happen, and you can add that to it as well. So we really looked at it as a team, what we aimed to accomplish and what we did accomplish, and then what we feel we should focus on as strategic plans in our 2022-23 year in the 4 compass points. Then we went over as a leadership team a few of our protocols, our staff to student incident protocol, if there's ever an incident with student and staff. This is all on our website, by the way. It has been for a while, our protocols, bullying incident protocols. We reaffirmed some things and worked with legal to make sure we had some things in place. This is on the website too, but we have a slightly updated version we'll put on there. After school safety protocols. We created a threat protocol, which is indeed a threat protocol, might be the wrong thing to call it. It's a possible threat. So when someone makes remarks that could be construed as a threat, how do we handle it? How do we deal with it? And we worked that through as a leadership team. And then, of course, all these protocols I've worked with the police since to get their version of it. I've worked with our legal representation to get a view on that. And, we'll be bringing that back as to the school committee for approval after we're ready, which is basically after the 18th of August. So that you can expect to see that and to be looking at it, to give your thoughts on it before we eventually publish these, put them right on our website so that we can see it. We review some of our safety employee handbook changes. So in other words, we want to make sure that employees sign off on the important information they should know as an employee. And that has to do with safety protocols. It also has to do with the way they should conduct themselves as an employee to make sure that what they're doing is safe in accordance with what we have in our district in terms of the way we do things. We talked about student discipline notice templates. It's very important that every student and individual gets due process in our district. And so these documents were just a review, but I shouldn't say just a review, an important review with our leadership team so that they understood the process they need to go through, gave them a chance to ask questions that we could vet with legal if we needed to. So it was a very productive exercise. And then we upgraded our bus accident protocol. Knock on wood, we haven't had a major bus accident, We've had a few fender benders with our Metco bus. Of course, that's been a long way to travel. Nothing that was thankfully really damaging to the bus or certainly harmful to any student. But it did awaken us to the fact that we didn't have as well-articulated bus accident protocol as we felt we needed to, and now we have one. So we'll be bringing all of that in early September to you to look at. And then again, we did that safety review, which I mentioned, Glass of Police. And that was good. And then now we're moving on to the 18th, which is in August, which is sort of, it's offsite. It's a little more team building. You kind of look at the first meeting as our business meeting. This is more of our visioning. Let's get ready for the start of the school year meeting. We're in the throes of a NEASC, which is New England
Association
of School Secondary. We'll look that up for you. But it's the review of secondary schools look at the accreditation. So we're accredited by the NEASC, and every 5 years, I believe, our high school comes up for it, and our high school's up for it this year. So we're going to be doing some activity and work led by Principal Scott on that. We do have Teach Point, which is a teacher evaluation tool, which we're implementing, which was also negotiated in the recent negotiations. That will be looked at, and Dr. Stallings has a committee together that's involving teachers and leaders, and that will create those forms, and we'll be talking about that. And then we move on to do some budget and prioritizing. So as a leadership team, we will prioritize looking out 3 years. Eventually, this gets back to school committee. School committee will have some thoughts on this as well. And then we really prepare for the first week, and then the first 6 weeks, and then the whole year. In terms of an overview, we look at the schedule for the first 2 days. We look at our professional development for 2022-23. We make sure that our trainings, our annual trainings for staff are in order, and that all of our leaders know exactly what's going on and what we have in that, and they can certainly give input into that. We set our team goals, and a little hint, I believe our team goals are going to be very similar with some deeper actions that we had last year. We go deeper with some of the actions. We look at our strategic initiatives. This is all coming off of the 719 meeting. And then we finalize the documentation and the protocols that we started on our 719 meeting. We have now ratified, the unions have ratified the contracts. We voted on the contracts, the collective bargaining agreements. So we'll be going over all the changes. Today, I'll be showing you a list as school committee, sort of not every single little change, but the major changes that constitute the document, the CBA. We'll be doing that with our teachers, and I'm sorry, we're doing it with our teachers, of course, but we'll be talking about it with our leaders, although we did already review with our principals. And then we set some of the plans for the year, and you can see our spotlight on student learning. We did send a draft of sort of the template to Chairman Dial, sort of how we're going to set it up, and people sign up so that we know what we're going to be showing you. And of course, you can have some thoughts on that as well as we move forward. Nothing's set in stone. We're starting to move that. We do have a new staff mentor and summer staff cookout, which we have to get ready for. I'm getting ready to flip 1,000 burgers, which I think I did last time. We have that right out here, and we treat our new staff and our summer staff to a cookout really sponsored by the principals and the leaders. So it's a nice thing. And then we do have I think it's going to be a wonderful district ice cream social, which I'll talk about in a moment. So if anybody has any questions on this
August 2nd, that's already happened, so is it another date?
26, 29.
what are we talking about?
Cookout 29, yeah. It only says 2, it got cut off. You see the cookout, it says August 2, but it's
Oh.
actually 29.
It's not the 29th.
Staff cookout, that's a Monday.
It is.
It is a 29.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's right
yeah.
there. This is staff. Okay. Sorry, I forgot the 9. Yep, August 20th.
It was there, makes more sense.
Wasn't it? Yeah. But anyway, we'll fix it. This ice cream social, I'm very excited about. As you can see, we've sent out a flyer already to hopefully you all received that. That's going to be very nice. We're working with the PSO. We're going to have tables set up for the PSO for CPAC,
Yeah.
for
For-
CEF,
Safe
for
harbors.
Safe Harbors. And we'll have music. We have our National Honor Society kids arranging some games, face painting. We're gonna have Nona's and Dell's there. And it's just gonna be a nice kickoff to the year. And anybody's welcome from the district, families, friends. And we'll introduce, hopefully we get some school committee members. Anybody who's there, we will introduce you. But it's just basically to mingle, to give everyone that feel of, we're a real family-run, close-knit school district. And this might end up being a tradition, so I'm excited for it.
We invited some.
We haven't to this, but we could. That
Yeah,
might be a good thing to
yeah.
do. We invited them to the All Teachers Day,
Yeah,
to the opening day for teachers, which you're all obviously invited to.
Yeah.
They'll be invited to that, but I haven't gone that far yet.
Yeah,
That's
who
probably a
doesn't
really
like
good
ice?
idea.
yeah, who doesn't like ice?
Yeah, we will absolutely do.
It says right there, there's gonna be fun. So,
Yeah, I'll keep going here. It's a ice cream truck, fun, music. And it's Wednesday, August 24th, from 5:30 to 7:30, and it's gonna be right down here in front of wherever you see kids playing, and we're gonna block off, we'll have the folks park in the student parking lot. We're gonna block off the road and have the trucks up top. We'll have some games and, it should be really nice. I'm excited, really excited about that.
We don't have school committee.
Now, the next one's. Such a.
Oh.
So this should be nice.
it's still-
And there really won't be a need for financial support. There was a point where I thought that we were possibly going to have to charge money for something, but we were able to. So it's not a financial need for anybody. It'll be free.
Well, they still can donate to the school.
Yes, you can absolutely. So, and then
Receive checks.
I have added a superintendent's coffee. So that is actually the next day. It's an evening. And so it's an evening coffee, so maybe iced coffee. But it's 5 to 6 p.m. and that will be with Dr. Scollins.
The next day.
Yeah.
20
Yes, and of course, the school committee's invited to come to that. Yes, I don't think you can deliberate or anything, but you can listen and be there as guests. And that's open to anybody who wants to meet us, has questions, has concerns, and we'll go over and review some of our initiatives for the year at that meeting. as well.
Yeah, and how, well, so we putting this on Facebook or?
Yes, so this is going to be, we've already put it out twice via Blackboard.
Yeah.
And it's not on the website, it should be.
Supposed to go.
Yeah, we'll put it on the website.
Yeah, and it's on the school website.
And once we get closer to the event, I'm going to put it all over social media, Twitter and Facebook.
And then just even if they have some kind of question, maybe we could answer the question for them. I mean, it's simple to.
Absolutely.
If they can't make it, they're on vacation.
Yep.
Just let them know they can email the question.
I will. When we put this out again, I will let folks know they can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
We can do
They
that.
can always reach.
Yeah,
Always
they can.
email, call, always, able to. Is that, I remember in pre-COVID times, we did kind of regular
Yes,
office with superintendent, is that
we're going to get
something
those
that's,
back.
yeah, great. I
Um,
figured you were setting the tone. That's
So,
lovely.
we could also do a virtual, where we're here and do that. But I thought the first one would be nice in person because it's really set to meet some new people too. And just to kind of,
And,
Smart.
okay, so you'll be, you guys are both from engineer?
yes.
And if anybody's watching right now, I'd just like to say, if you have the opportunity to meet these wonderful folks, have the opportunity, you should take it. So I really want to stress that to anybody, they should definitely.
It's nice, and we have a lot of engagement initiatives this year. We were doing a lot of talking about the difference between involvement and engagement. I think we've done a great job involving and communicating to families, but engagement implies you're doing things with them and you're creating things with them. And that's really what I want to focus on, and you'll see that all over our new initiatives. Is the difference between involvement and engagement. That's, I think, where we are as a district. Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry.
Not that he's actually the person.
Let me just stop my share so I can do that. Excuse me for a second. There it is, yeah. I'm actually going to need the privilege to Any questions on those two events? Okay, so just keep rolling with a few other updates. Our theme for the year is going to be Find Your Compass. And this is really in concert with what they're doing as a high school and NEASC. And the idea is that, what is your direction as a really kind of a value-based, what are your values as a student? What are our values as a district? What are our values as a leadership team? What are our values as teachers? And it's really encouraging folks to find what that is, to explore that, and then to move in that direction. So this obviously fits within our strategic plan as well. And this is our first day, so we've already sort of set the agenda for this, but the opening day is, it's involved with my opening introduction, and there'll be members from, we do new staff introductions. We have great new staff. I'm very proud of their hires. We'll get into them in a minute. We have our educator awards for 15, 20, 25, 30. And we always give those out. And they're not just for our teachers, they're for any staff member who's been there that we acknowledge them at this meeting. The school committee, so Chairman Dial will have a chance to give some words of wisdom, and the PSOs, Mrs. Dial will also have a chance to give. So the Dials will be able to be well represented here.
We may need to split that up, given home obligation.
Exactly. And then our CEF and, obviously, as you mentioned, Mr. Kearney, our town manager, selectman, will be at this. And then Dr. Scullin sort of takes it away. And we will have, for our staff, Dr. Raymond Porch, who's already done part one of culturally responsive teaching, come back and work with our staff.
And Adam coming again in September.
Yep, he's the DEI at Burlington Public Schools, and the Director of Equity and Inclusion is what DEI stands for. And then we have some safety training. So we're going to dive deeply this year into our safety training, into our ALICE training. Again, that's in case of a tragedy or active shooter or whatever, we want our staff to be prepared for that. We've done a lot of work. I sort of kidded with was kidding with the leadership team. It's kind of a summer of safety, but it really is. We've done so much work on safety in our district this summer. And it's important, not only because of what's happening in the country, but where we're coming from. We're coming out of a pandemic. Things shifted a bit where we had to keep windows and doors open for ventilation. We were going outside. We developed some protocols for going outside, but what's that going to look like in a post-pandemic world? And I should say, we had a meeting with the chairman of the Commissioner of Education, and he indicated that we are going to be back without mask mandates as a state. That doesn't mean that anyone who wanted to wear a mask would be discouraged to do so. They certainly can, but we will not be at this point starting the year with any of that. With one exception, there will still be masks required in health offices. So I just want to put that out there. And we're excited to get back as close as we can to the regular times. We're in a good spot right now. But we've done a lot with that. So then on the second day, I haven't put our specific agenda. We'll get more specific with this after we work it out with our leadership team. But the second day is more in building, professional development.
Yeah, and more specific around certain things, thinking high school, working in MES, elementary, literacy. So,
Good.
we'll check it all out.
That's great. So we're excited for that. And then just to give you a couple of more quick updates. This is very exciting. This is just a copy of the email that I received today and did share with Chairman Dial. This is from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, telling us that we have been approved to move to a senior study, which is for the schools that are of a priority to them. which basically says they will be coming out and will be looking from a bird's eye view, sort of firsthand, what our statement of interest said. Because remember, when we did the statement of interest in the spring, we included facility obstacles, we included educational obstacles, and impediments and things that we needed to change, that a new building or a massive refurbishing of the building might afford us. Now they're coming in to have those discussions, and they're asking us to provide them with the personnel here who would be able to help with that. School committee, obviously, included. So we'll have members from the town, we'll have, obviously, our kind of facilities here, we'll have all kinds of, the principals of both buildings will be here, and we'll be able to walk them through and meet with them to sort of unwrap our statement of interest in real time with them. So it's very, very exciting. This is the next step. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it tells us that we're where we want to be at this stage in the project.
One point I wanted to raise on this, just as a point of suggestion, it looks like they're looking for dates that work. One request on there is that you have someone who's versed in town financials.
Yes,
So it might be helpful to have Chris Senior or his designee come
completely.
be
Yep.
part of that. So just keep that as a.
Yes, I will be invited.
Not because it's called the senior study,
It's a good senior center.
because he will be well versed in the district's ability.
Absolutely, would not dream of doing that without him and his,
Do we have a copy of this?
his guidance.
Is that a recent email?
There's a recent email that I sent to Lance, so
Okay.
Lance could share.
It came today, right?
It came like hours ago. And I was given permission by them to share anything that's in the email, so I actually shared the email.
Right.
I'm just sharing it, so you can all see it.
Right.
But they're coming, just so you know, you can plan for it, they're coming in to view our building September 28th at 9 a.m.
And we'll have a probably facilities subcommittee.
Absolutely. We'll prepare well for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's very important.
Yes.
And then you can see what they're doing here at the end. While touring the facility, the Massachusetts School Building Authority team will evaluate the physical condition of the facility, including major building systems. It's important to have a member of the facilities team on the visit. We have
A
that.
hot day.
Probably will be. Examine capacity issues if applicable. They'll be here when the kids are here, so they'll see that. Assess design factors such as the availability of natural light, assess the ability of the facility to support the required educational program, and examine the school district's maintenance of the facility. So those are all, it's exciting. I'm very excited because this shows progress,
Yeah.
moving forward. And I was waiting for this to come. So that's great. Any further questions about that with the committee?
Yeah, I mean, I would just make a little, just a evaluation, suggestions. Maybe we should look at a lot of the ADA issues in the school too.
Absolutely.
I mean,
No, that's all in our statement of interest. So they have that
Yeah,
and we'll be able to show them that.
yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issues we have.
No question. So that's it for updates. I know that was a lot, but I wanted everybody, remember now, we don't have another meeting until we start school. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew the direction we were moving before the first day.
Can Mr. Carr, is he set up on?
He is, Mr. Carr is on. If I stop sharing my screen, you can actually see him.
I'll just start with him if he has Mr. Carr, if you have any comments.
I think he just has to unmute.
Sorry about that. No comments. Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Kearney.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep. It's a little low in the volume. I don't know.
It's the internet. I'm in London at the moment. It's the internet. Sorry about that. Yep.
It's good. We can hear you. I'm going to turn up this fan. Sorry, Mr. Kearney.
No, I think it's great. I think this is good to see it, especially where we start.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, right there.
Well, anything?
None.
None?
Thank you.
Sounds? Nothing from me. Thank you for the detailed update.
You're welcome. So, we get the 2 meetings in the summer, and I just want to make sure everybody knows where we were and where we're going.
Well, it's good to make sure we've got it anchored on where the school is going to be starting so that we can have any input or thoughts. But as always, we've got a talented skipper at the helm.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks.
so I think we'll move on. Do you want to go into the contract changes?
Shall I review them, please? Will do. So we are very excited to, let me just share this again. Back to this document. But we are very excited to be able to say that we have come to agreement with all of our unions and associations regarding the contracts. Some of you may remember that we basically extended the teachers, secretaries, and ESP contracts 1 year during the pandemic, which basically froze the COLA, which was 2% at that time, moved it over for another year and kept everything in the contract with Fidelity until we could do the next year. But what that did is that put all 5 of our contracts on the same cycle. So this was a very, very busy winter and spring for the members of both negotiation teams from the CTA and the school committee. And I want to thank Chairman Dial and Vice Chair McClellan for their yeoman's efforts in this. And then, of course, the folks from our team, Darth Scollins and Mrs. Owen and Mrs. Sawanka, and anybody we brought in for various particular issues. And then I want to thank the CTA team led by President Bob Erlinson and the 2 chairs who did a fabulous job, Ron Ford and Cheryl Chapman. They very much represented their association well. And it was productive. And I think, both sides made movement in important ways. I stated that for us, it was all about safety of our students, safety of our staff, and engagement for our students and engagement with families. And then I also want to thank the members of the negotiation teams for our food service team, and then, of course, our custodians too. They all did a wonderful job, and Sue did a great job in leading those contract talks. So without further ado, if it's okay, Lance, I'd like to review the contract highlights from each of them.
Yes, please.
And maybe we can stop after each contract and we'll take any questions. As I had mentioned at the very beginning of the meeting, this doesn't include a lot of housekeeping. There was a lot of housekeeping, and anytime you have contracts and you're looking at it with fresh eyes, you see things. These are really sort of a very drilled down, overarching major things that we were able to shift. So as everyone knows, because you voted on it here, the contract language regarding Labor Day and the start of school was put into effect in this contract. So we basically said, as we agreed on as a school committee, and that was agreed on as well by the CTA and the other unions, that if Labor Day falls on the 3rd of September or earlier, then we'll start after Labor Day for the kids. If it starts on the 4th of September or later, we'll start before Labor Day. And of course, this just gives us some buffer so that we don't go so late into the year. But we did determine that this coming year, because of the short notice and the short summer, that we would not start until after Labor Day, thus the September 6th start for our students. So that's in here.
I'm sorry, what's the end date on
What do you mean the end date?
that? June?
Oh, so it would depend on what the start is. So for this coming year,
Or any of those other coming years?
um,
So you just have to count the 180 days.
We don't have those
from now?
calendars approved yet, so we don't have it out of date.
so I have that information though. I just don't have it with me.
Okay,
So
so
because-
can you guestimate like where it is? in
Yeah,
June?
it's like,
Right now,
this,
it's like 30th, June 30th.
no, it's like the 16th in that
Okay.
area.
Oh,
Mid-June.
I mean, that's a huge
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
And that's That's,
Yeah, the only
Uh,
reason we were the 30th this year is because of
Actually-
the nor'easter and then a
Right.
few snow days.
If you look
But
on
the one we've approved for this year
on the
ends in the
website.
teens,
yeah,
which is why we
but
had
we
that.
lost 2 weeks.
I mean, a few snow days and then Monday holidays and weekends bump it out. You know, it's like, once you add a Monday, you're like, boom, boom, boom. So,
You started.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
leave that up.
Yeah.
So
So,
Do you have a,
I have for the end of this year.
but it gives you a flavor for it.
Yeah.
And this year
Oh,
again,
it's
we're start,
great.
this year we're starting after Labor Day. So you can imagine if you start before Labor Day, it's gonna be even earlier. than this.
Right.
And what is it
Right.
this year? Oh, sorry.
yeah, this year it's probably a little later.
So we have the last day is 16th.
Ah, June
Okay.
16th.
June 16th.
Somehow I
Oh,
knew
yeah.
that in my brain. I don't know, but
Yeah.
anyway,
And if we had snow, yeah. Go on, we had snow days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
depending on,
so this next one was a big one for us in that, from a administrative leadership. And it just simply revolves around safety, providing the safest situation for our students as possible. All staff who have a responsibility in the morning need to be here at their place of, at the place of supervision, their place of assignment, rather, 10 minutes before the students arrive. So what you can expect is that in the way that'll work in the middle high school is at 8:05, when we officially let the kids move, that the teachers will be there outside of their doors or will be in particular places that the principals have deemed important to maintain safety. Just getting eyes on everyone and making sure that as they come in that one entrance, that everybody is in the right place and knows where they're going. And that's the same case with the elementary teachers. And then we have the same thing at the end of the day too. So at the end of the day, they'll stay at least 10 minutes, they're required to, just to maintain the safety of that environment. So we're happy about that. Next, we have the salaries, and this is the case for every single one of our teams. Over the 3 years, it's 7.5%. So with the exception of ESPs, and I'll get to that in a minute, the way that falls out is we have 2% this year. This is in the COLA. We have 2.5 the next year, and finally we end with 3. And that was set in concert with the town, who were looking at where we might be financially with some revenues moving forward and where we're not able to do at this point. So that was a generous, but I thought mindful look at where we can get, what we can provide them for their increases, keeping in mind they get increases with their steps as well. Parent-teacher conferences. We have parent-teacher conferences now. Remember, for everybody, just right at this point, until this year, till this contract was set, we only had parent-teacher conferences for our elementary schools. We didn't have any set parent-teacher conferences at our middle and high school, although you were welcome to confer with those teachers. Well, that's still the case, but now we also have some formalized parent-teacher conferences. And actually, those dates, which are on our calendar, which is on the website, but I'll just tell you them right now. For the middle and high school, it's the 14th for the middle and the 15th for the high school of December. And then remember, we have open house too earlier on. That's
yeah,
still
get the
happening.
5 minutes. Yeah,
But
okay.
this is set right around the semester dates.
Okay,
And then we have it on the 26th for the middle school of April and the 27th of April for the high school. And then we have the open house is the 28th for the high school and the 29th for the middle school. And again, that mirrors what we have for our elementary schools, which have been traditionally in the calendar. So this is, I think, a big move for us.
huge.
Happy about that. Next, this is for employees. We have the way our sick time works is we usually have 5 sick days per contractual year. And if someone took FMLA or leave, they would only get credit for those 5 days, and then they would be on an unpaid situation. We increased that to 15 days. So if they have those banked, they can take the time and they can do 15 days. So if someone's daughter, or we're always trying to be flexible and work with them, or son or child was ill and they had to take an extended period of time. Now they have the option of 15 paid days, which is, I think, it was fair. So,
Yeah, considering the state law is up to 40 hours for a full time. So that's actually double, right?
so we're happy to provide that to them. There was some antiquated language concerning maternity leave, which we got out of there. It was like equating pregnancy with being ill, and we just needed to
It's a condition.
get it out. So we got that language out.
And requiring doctor approval before
Yes,
back to work.
yes.
Yeah, that needed to go.
This is just, again, and we do have a lot of we do have faculty to go to activities, but we wanted to guarantee that we had collaboration on an activity, a prominent one, for every staff member to attend. And that activity by default would be the graduation of the high school. We're really trying to make our graduation into a real celebration of our kids and the accomplishments they've made from pre-K through 12. So to have all of our high school staff, unless there's a situation where their own child is graduating, or, it's not possible for them to be there, to have them there, I think really sends a message about the care that our staff shows for the kids, which they do. And we just wanted this memorialized in the contract, and we will have some prominent activities at each building that staff will attend. So very excited about that. So any questions on those for the teachers? Those are the major, some of the major changes for them. There's a bunch of little tiny things that are more in-house, but these are things I thought would impact the community. And with ESPs, we increased their work year by 2 days because they were
What's
looking.
an ESP, Dr. Sullivan?
It's an educational support personnel. So it's also sometimes called aides in different contexts.
Just so people just feel.
Yeah, it does. It does. It sounds,
I would have known unless I did this.
yes, it sounds like extra sensory
School.
perception.
Yeah.
But they are, they have 2 additional days, and these 2 days are actually coming at the beginning of the year, so we can make sure they get the same training that everybody gets. So they're going to be required to, they'll be paid for them, but they'll be required to attend those first 2 days, which in the past they've been allowed to and but not required to. So that's an additional thing. And then we increase the compensation if we do have ESPs substituting for absent teachers. We increase that to what we believe is a fair wage for that role. And obviously the CTA did as well. And then the same provisions for our parental and family leave, up to 15 accumulated sick days. And then in year 3, we've further adjusted the salary level to make sure that our compensation for ESPs are competitive with other districts in the area. So we made an adjustment and pumped in some additional money in year 3 to their steps, and that was accepted by them. So we feel really good about what we're providing our ESPs. We'll be right at the top of the heap, or very close there, in terms of how much we pay them, and we feel like we're showing the value that they provide us, which is a significant value in the district. And our secretary contract highlights, we didn't really change too much with them, just to provide them with the same provision regarding family leave that we provided the other 2 units. And then again, they're in the same boat with the 3 years, 7.5%. I don't know if there's any questions about ESPs or secretary contract highlights.
Any questions? Mr. Carr?
No, I think excellent summary. I know there's some confusion. You all did a great job letting families know about the start date. I think that's something we should socialize very well. That affects lot of families, but this is an excellent contract for everybody, and I think a great summary.
Thank you.
I have a general comment about those three groups as we bargain them together.
Yes. Proceed.
If I may,
Yes, you
because
may.
I didn't think you were going, are you going in alphabetical order?
I was trying to.
Oh, I apologize.
If you can jump right ahead if you want
No,
to just
oh,
pull in.
no, wait my turn. Mr. Kearney.
Just, yeah, Mr. Kearney. Any comments?
No comments. For type of
All right. Now, Mr. McCullen.
All right.
You are recognized. The floor is yours.
I apologize. I thought it would be before sort of just anyone in the comment jumped in for that thing, but I just wanted to say that, you know, the bargaining process is really exhausting and it can be at times discouraging. I do want to say that I think credit should be given to the faculty members that and the ESPs and the secretaries that participate in that process. It's a lot of additional work for them, and they do that on behalf of their entire bargaining unit, and they should be commended for those efforts. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So and I know that even amongst their own bargaining units, there's not always going to be unanimous, assent to things. And I'm sure that causes stress as well when they're trying to provide a service to their overall bargaining unit. So I think they should be recognized. I did vote in favor of the contracts. I'm not all that excited about the CTA's contract. In that, and this isn't to be negative, it's just to state a fact on the record that, if I was not on the school committee, I would remain underwhelmed with the requirements for presence in the schools for the teachers. I am underwhelmed, but with an EC change, it takes time. And, so for example, if I was a parent out there, I'd expect that the teachers are there 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after. I'd be surprised to hear that it was something that we had to, ask for and get. That faculty members would be required to go to graduation. I'd be surprised that that wasn't the case already, but it wasn't. And so we had to take steps to make sure that that became something that everyone, agreed with and could sign on to. So, changes take time and, it involves a lot of different perspectives to be considered. And, while I think that, while I'd still like to see a little bit more faculty presence, in the schools, requirements for for example, more evening events so that we're not having things in the middle of a workday. That's the thing that's probably most disappointing to me. We have made some changes and it took a lot of effort on behalf of management's or leadership's bargaining team to make these things happen. So if you're like me out there and you're a working parent and you are, you remain a little bit underwhelmed, just know that, these are some steps, in the right direction. And, sadly, I probably won't be there for the next contract negotiations, a fact which I'm sure is heartbreaking for the CTA, but I felt it was incumbent upon me to say this because that's my perspective. So I want to share that at the conclusion of those highlights from that bargaining group, because the CTA, the ESPs and the secretaries were bargaining together this year. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair McClellan. Ms. St. Ange.
I don't think I have anything to add.
Great. The only thing I will add as being, having been part of the process, I want to share Vice Chair McClellan's view of the participants on the faculty. That is a heavy lift. It is a lot of work, and they did a commendable job in representing the interests of themselves and their fellow faculty. But one element that I want to raise, it may have been a personal realization for me about our schools through this process, is that even in the context of a collective bargaining negotiation, which as Vice Chair McClellan rightly points out is exhausting and can be frustrating, the clear interests of the teachers were actually for our students. in most cases. They were worried about, they were making sure that the kiddos were taken care of. And it really came through that that they cared for our students and they cared for our schools. And so I was very, very pleased with that. I do share some of Vice Chair McCullen's views on the moving forward and eventually, redefining professionalism and redefining the roles of teachers and expectations. So that is a long process. I think we made some headway and we had some great discussions and there's things on both sides that we'll continue to work on how to ensure that our teachers have a positive working environment for them and create the most positive learning environment for our students. So all told, this was it was really an enlightening process. I really very much appreciate everyone who was involved, and I'm glad we were able to put a period on the end of that sentence.
I agree. And with that, I have, well, actually, we have two more. I can go over the other two units, and then I have some John Hancock's I would ask for. So as we move here, again, I said that we negotiated all 5 of these, so it was quite a lot of work. Food service contracts, we did add a probationary period for employees that we have with basically every unit, where we have 90 days or whatever. It's a certain amount of time to be able to make sure that that particular individual is a fit for us. And so we did put a probationary period of 90 days. And then we increased the sick days. They wanted more, but we felt it was fair. They currently have 5 sick days per year with a cap of 50 that you can accumulate for your accumulated days. We moved it to 7 and 75. We did add some holidays for them: New Year's Day, President's Day, Patriots Day, and the day after Thanksgiving. We created a combined clothing allowance, so that we just instead of delineating what they use the clothing allowance for, we just gave them the $400. Obviously, for food service, they have to buy the garb to be able to deal with the food preparation and serving. We increased their regular work week from and Sue, if you're actually would be good for if there's any questions here. Sue did a lot in driving this, so she can help in any commentary that you want to add. Certainly jump in, and then if there are questions, Sue might be able to help with as well. But we increased the regular work week from 22.5 hours to 5 hours per day for 25 weeks. Do you remember why we did that, Sue? What was the impetus behind that? I just drawing a blank.
During the COVID, when they had to actually bag individual lunches, they needed that extra half an hour a day to be able to bag up individual ordered lunches and deliver them one by one rather than have them come through the serving line.
Gotcha. And then our overtime increased from plus 25 to plus 30 hours when we provide overtime. We standardized our bereavement days. We have 5 for everyone. It seems silly to only have 3 for them, so we give them the 5. This I'm actually most excited about because I think it's going to help with the quality of food that we're able to provide. We created job categories. Previous to this contract, all jobs, whether you're a cook or you're a cashier, a helper, lead got a little more, but if you were any other positions, you essentially get the same flat rate. Most districts provide an additional amount of money or a higher sum for the cook, because obviously they're the ones making the food. And so we want to increase their money so that we can get a higher quality product. So we broke that down. And then our wages, it's the same as we have in all units, 2, 2.5, and 3. We did add 1 step each of the 3 years to the scale, just to give them some incentive and staying here for a longer period of time. Vacation language was updated to say that in the first year, vacation may not be used. May be used after 6 months of continuous employment, just to stop someone coming in and immediately going on vacation. not been able to do that, but, and then the scale is here, and you can see these are the steps that we added for this. This is the cook at the middle school and high school. Elementary cook. And the cashier kitchen helper. These are now extremely competitive with other districts, so we are right in line with everybody. So that made me feel really good. So that's that. Other questions regarding the food service and what we've done or anything, any thoughts?
I'll just do open forum here. Any questions from members of the committee?
Okay.
Hearing none, let's move on.
Custodians. So in a very similar vein to what we did with the food service folks, we were able to delineate the job categories. So we have basically creating a structure of leadership. So we have our head custodian. This individual is in charge of all schools and works in and helps all of our lead custodians, which is the chief custodian at each building. So we'd have one for the middle school, one for the high school, one for Deer Hill, one for Osgood, all sort of working under the head custodian. And that was important to us from a lot of perspectives, mainly communication structure. So we put that in there, and then we created a pay structure that sort of represented that. This particular union wanted to allow part-time employees to be members of the bargaining unit. There were only 2 of them, and we felt that was okay. So we went and allowed that. We did say a part-time employee is one who works 20 hours or less per week. And then same wages, same thing. We added 1 step each of the 3 years. And here you can see the head custodian, $4 greater than the custodian salary scale on their step. And then the lead custodian is $2 greater than their step. We added Juneteenth as a holiday because it is a holiday. We removed the American Arbitration Association. This is at the request of the union because they felt that the labor relations connection and/or Department of Labor Relations, they just weren't as backed up. And that was what they said, and we really couldn't find any reason to think that wasn't a good idea. We did add a 5-year longevity, $600. And then we added language to show the custodial responsibilities. The head custodian is responsible for assigning, training, and supervising all custodian personnel. In addition, the head custodian assists the building principals in all plant operation issues, including maintaining, cleaning, and preventative maintenance schedules, as well as advising on staffing needs and assisting in procuring substitutes for each school when necessary. Then the head custodian will provide the necessary equipment and supplies to ensure the efficient operations of the building operations. The custodian also has the responsibility for regular cleaning, maintenance, and snow removal. The lead custodian, and it's at each building, is responsible for the daily custodial maintenance and snow removal of their assigned school and applicable grounds. The lead custodian directs custodians in performance of their duties, trains staff on custodial maintenance and other safety procedures, submits work orders, requisitions, and supply orders needed to ensure efficient building operations to the head custodian. The lead custodian also coordinates and participates in custodial services for activities and events, performs work cleaning and supporting daily activities in the building. Lead custodian demonstrates professional behavior, promoting positive relationships with students, staff, community members, and peers. Performs other related work as assigned directly related to the schools. So really delineating those roles, which we think will create a more efficient system for us. And I know that the committee has brought to our attention the fact that at times it seems like this wheel isn't turning the way it should. And this is a process to get that to do that. And then you see the increase of the pay, and then the same thing with bereavement days. And that is it. And then you get the scales that correspond accordingly.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Sloan. Any comments from the committee on the custodial agreements?
Yeah, when is it gonna start that they're gonna start cleaning up around here? Like this, I walked the property yesterday. I was horrified. Horrified.
You walked inside the school?
I just walked the property here.
Oh,
It's like trash all over the place.
yeah.
Are they not working? I don't understand. When does this contract start?
So there's a few questions there. They are working. right?
Okay.
They are doing work. As you can see, you can look, they're doing a lot of work inside right now.
That's not what I saw.
Um,
I saw trash all over the place.
Yeah,
The views inside
It's
the
an
building.
inside.
Yeah, but the new contract says they're gonna take care of the outside.
we need a lot more staffing to get that kind of work done in the summertime. What our goal is to get everything ready by the start of the summer. We have a major track project going on outside. Right now, the whole building, every single piece of furniture is being removed, put into the hallway so we can clean and scour and wax every single surface. So that is absolutely our priority right now. And I hear your point, but as in terms of a regular operations, right now, we are absolutely focusing them on inside the buildings because there's not a lot of time to do.
So you're basically saying it's understaffed already.
We are understaffed.
Okay, so what are we gonna do to address that? Are we gonna get the town involved and tell them that we have a problem?
So I think we can continue to address that. I think we've added custodians. I think we continue to address that moving forward. If we can find some way to get us some more custodians, please, let's do that.
So, well, Mr. Kearney, I mean, for just a moment, Dr. Slaughter, am I hearing you correctly that right now, the resources that we have are focused on inside the building?
Yes,
Because we're waiting for kids to come in.
because you don't have an opportunity to do the type of cleaning you
And
need
so
to do.
right now, you're dedicating those resources to this,
Yes,
and in a normal flow,
yes.
you would have resources to do some of the outdoor work that Mr. Kearney is talking about.
Well, that's the flow. That's how we're doing it. But in the summertime, we don't have
Right.
the staffing to do the type of work to make the grounds immaculate.
Right, and I'm not trying to point fingers.
No, it's fine.
No,
The
can I add,
The point is.
sorry, can I add to that, just to, appease Paul a little bit? So I know the last 3 Saturdays, Paul, that there's been a crew of guys, guys and girls, working at the middle and high school anyways. They were on the back hill. They cut a bunch of dead trees down. They've been raking up all kinds of debris. They're taking measurements to get some mulch to come in. So this is all happening. I mean, it's work in progress. It's the beginning. They just actually voted the contract, but we've purchased, they've gone out and purchased electric lawnmowers, leaf blowers, and weed whackers for each school. So I know the last 3 Saturdays, the middle and high school have been at the building working, because I've seen the progress. So it might not look perfect, but I know they're working on it.
And again, I don't want to
That's fine, yeah.
think I don't respect or appreciate all the hardworking people there in the school district. I just think that, again, I'll say it again, we can't even paint a front door coming up Sawyer Street and seeing the Deer Hill School. I mean, you can notice the paint there. That's $11. I mean, if you give me permission, I'll paint the door.
Which door is this?
Going up Sawyer Street on the left-hand side.
Oh.
The gym door?
Yes.
The front of the building, there's absolutely zero pride in the outside of our schools. And that's not your fault. That's our fault as a community to let it get to this. And to negotiate a contract to say that they're gonna now source the outside of the buildings, which we negotiated. And thank you to these folks who spent a lot of time and effort to get this contract done. It's still not gonna get the job done. That's what I'm hearing, because honestly, I am so sad that my kid's gotta go to this dump
I
of a
hear
school.
you.
Nothing to do with the people that work here, nothing to do, but my kid's gotta sit here in 90-degree temperature, okay? And that's my fault, I guess. I can't afford to move out of the school system, but I'm gonna do everything I can to do it personally. I mean, if I have to personally come here and start picking up, I will. I mean, my point is, Lance, is that we're negotiated a contract that we can't fulfill as a town. And you got my name on that contract, because I made a commitment, or we made a commitment to the custodians that they made a commitment to us that they were gonna clean the outside of the school. And if we don't have the resources to do it, then right away, we're in breach of a contract.
No, I just want to be clear about that. I think we do have resources.
But not.
So there's, in the summertime, first of all, there's a lot of things happening in the
No, I
town
get
that you notice, like, if you notice, they're ripping up the whole sidewalk here. Sawyer Street is completely ripped up. We're about to have a sewer pipe put underneath the Deer Hill driveway. I mean, there's a lot of deconstruction happening in the whole town. I don't know of one road in the town where there wasn't some DPW work happening or major trenches being dug or something. So it's a bit of a time of deconstruction. I absolutely, would say we're focusing our resources right now inside. We have tiling jobs being done, we have painting jobs being done, we have waxing being done. We have everything is being taken out, put back, cleaned. The idea of that is you're kind of working inside out. Do we have enough staff to do all of that inside and then
Take an hour a day.
continue to do? Well, then, I don't know what to say. I guess we don't have the
Take an hour,
staff
yeah.
then, because I don't think that we can fulfill what your vision is right now based on the staff we have. So it's to that.
And we should never sign that contract. And I'm done.
So,
I don't think that's fair, Paul. In the rhythms of the school year, like, this is what happens in August. In every school I've ever worked
But
in,
it
you clear
happens-
it out. Wait, I'm speaking.
Okay.
You clear out the floors and you wax the buildings because this is one of the very few times we do not have students in there. Just like if you buy a new house, you would then sand and reseal the floors before moving your family in, correct? It has been blowing a steady 6 to 12 knots all summer, so trash is gonna collect. I just think you need to, it feels very personal how you're talking about the custodians. I think that we need to reassess the language that's being used and understand the rhythms of the school year. I think that the contract is in place. We saw the list of DPW and school responsibilities. It makes me uncomfortable how you're talking about it.
And I apologize. It makes me uncomfortable when I walk around here and my kids gotta go to school.
so, Mr. King, we appreciate and all benefit from your passion. I have to say that at the outset. And, by your feeling so strongly, it makes us better and keeps things on our radar. But we are hearing from administration that they are focusing the resources they have in the way that they think is best, which is not focusing on necessarily maybe grabbing some of the trash that is floated around in the yard that's being deconstructed right now for a track and with a pipe coming in, a sewer coming in. So I think it's an allocation of a scarce resource. And so I understand that and it makes a lot of sense. But I do want to recognize your point and maybe suggest I don't want to call it middle ground because I don't think there's divergent views. But there are things like the door. And there are things I've heard from other families, bathroom latches in various different bathrooms and so on. And I know, Ms. St. Ange, you've raised this before. Perhaps one of the things that we could do at the appropriate time, Dr. Sloan, is to have maybe the lead custodians go through the buildings and do a punch list of
Yes,
things like paint the door, things like check the latches,
Absolutely.
things like correct the latch. And, Dr. King, Mr. King, if you've got specific suggestions from your travels, maybe we can get that, collect a punch list of things that we want to put as a priority items for attention once we're done with the sanding of the floors.
Right, again, I don't mean to personalize anything. It's the reality. It's the reality of, I'm fighting for these school kids that are sitting in 90-degree
I
temperatures,
respect that.
hearing
Yeah.
that we're gonna get the AC fixed, and I don't even see it on, where's the AC getting fixed?
What is he, Paul?
The air conditioning here, we allocated $500,000 for air conditioning to get fixed, and I don't even see it in the priority list. I don't even see it are we working on that? I worked hard on that to make sure that we got funding on it, and I'm sitting in a hot classroom 4 years later. I just, and it's not personal. It's like, this just seems like there's nowhere to turn to go to get a solid answer.
So there's two things that are coming up on the agenda where we might be able to address some of that. One, we have a discussion on budget and resources. And Ms. Owens, I believe, will be making a presentation there. We also have a reconstitution of our subcommittees. And I know that you and I on the Finance and Facilities Subcommittee, we're working hard on the air conditioning issue as one example. So, unfortunately, some of these things take time and have been pushed around by other priorities, but why don't we defer that conversation to those future agenda items? Teacher as of today.
We also, Mr. Carr would like to ask a question.
Mr. Carr, please.
We may have lost him.
Is this
Did
still
we
a
lose you?
panelist? Maybe his question is, can I be a panelist again?
Oh, he's,
So can I just, so Paul, I totally hear you and I've been on the bandwagon to, I like to get things done and like to get them done now, but in all honesty, we just, over the last few months, went through that whole chart or duties and responsibilities between facilities, DPW and custodians. So now we have a very clear path that the landscaping is ours and the custodians are making an effort. They went out and got all the equipment. But like Pat said, all these summer projects happen in the schools when nobody's there, like all the stripping and waxing of the floors, the carpet cleaning, the filter changing. And in the midst, I have to give the custodians credit. They've been coming in on Saturdays to try to get the landscaping at least started. We've got to give them a little bit of time. It's only been a few weeks that they've been allowed to start. Let's see what it looks like when school starts, I know that, they're gathering information and, putting mulch down and cutting down dead trees. So, I don't want, and I know what you're saying. I mean, we are limited. We could certainly use more custodians, but right now they're doing the best that they can. And I think by the time school opens, I think you'll see a difference outside. I think you'll see. They always finish at the 12th hour, but they always get it done.
Thank you, Ms. Owen. Mr. Carr, I believe you had a comment and then we'll wrap this one
Yeah,
up.
thank you, guys. Look, excellent discussion. I guess my question is for everybody here. I think the buck does stop with us as a board. I think everybody's doing a great job, but I guess my question is, are you on track to get all of this done before the students come in? And if you're not, what can we do to support you? It's not an innocent question. It is, look, I'll get the weed whacker out if that's what it takes, but you guys are doing a great job. I guess just what else can we do to help you? And if you just say, hey, Ted, we're on track to get it done, that's great.
Well, I'd have to say, I think the facility premises of Deer Hill and Osgood are in pretty good shape. I think the grounds, quite frankly, I think the grounds look pretty good at the end of the school year. But they looked fine for what they are. I think there may be some notable places, like I wasn't aware of the door, but I don't see that in the same way you do. That's good to know. There might be some things we can correct there. The major issue for us is this complex. That's my view. And one of the things that I'd really like to see is a nicely appointed mulching around our gardens out here. And I know Sue is on that, so I can't speak to that, but I mean, let's face it, all the lawns everywhere look pretty bleak unless you have a built-in sprinkler system, which we don't have built-in sprinkler systems here. So that's problematic. And then our track, remember, is in the process of being completely ripped up, and it's already there and put back together. We have done some landscaping around that area. We have a press box going in. There's just a lot of movement. So to answer your question, I think we're on track, with the exception, I would really like those touches of having the spruced up. If you think about that, think about the prominent flower gardens around here. You got the one down by the road on Pond Street. You get the one up around as you come in by the football field, that's an area. You have against the building here, right outside of my office and central offices, that area hasn't looked good in a long time. Like, those all make a major statement. I know that we're a little bit limited in what we can do around the track right now, just because there's heavy machinery moving in and out. But I think we're getting to the point where we can do some work there. So I would defer to Sue about mulch and where we are with that. But that to me would make a huge difference if we could do some mulching and some flower bed work. Whether that's from the community, Kennedy Country Gardens has helped us out. They've been so generous over the years, but I know other folks have too. But Sue, any word on that? Because to Mr. Carr's question, that is really something I think we could need help with.
Yeah, I actually met with Bob, this morning and talked about, he's gonna figure out how much, he's gonna figure out how much mulch we need. And he's gonna reach out to Kennedy, and just get it delivered. So he was gonna reach out to, I think, the Osgood and the Deer Hill as well, to see what they needed. I know they did receive some mulch. I don't know how much, but we talked about that first thing this morning.
Yes.
Can I
And,
just
you know,
follow up? I think that's excellent, but can I just follow up I know you mentioned all the road work that's going on in front of our schools. I know that has had a impact on your ability to work. Was any of that on behalf of the school department or was that just existing infrastructure improvements in town?
Existing infrastructure improvements in town. I mean, obviously, the Cook
Yeah.
Estates is being linked into the sewer
Yeah,
at Deer Hill. The sidewalks, well, I mean, the sidewalks is certainly helpful to us on Sawyer Street, extending the sidewalk. The utility work here isn't really, although it might benefit the school, it's really not driven by the school. The only major project happening right now that involves machinery and moving things is our track. That is a school-based thing. So
yeah.
they're all town-based. I don't know what the condition of the roads are gonna be, Mr. Kearney, even so you recognize this. After the work is done, I don't see any plans to repave these roads. And so I have the feeling that, just to brace everybody, it's not gonna look all that great. You know,
Sawyer's gonna be a beauty.
Well,
Sawyer Street.
Oh, it will be repaved. Yeah.
Is in the process. I'm just saying.
So there you
Let's,
go.
let's say something positive, people. It's a very negative conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know why they won't connect
but-
Schwed to Sawyer Street, but that's a different issue.
So it is gonna be repaved?
It's in the process.
Yes.
That's done.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, that's great.
On that
And then
note,
I-
we're gonna, unless Mr. Carr, you have anything directly relevant?
Yeah, sorry. And then I'm gonna behave myself. Those contracts for those roads, first of all, I hope one day the town gets their act together. We should be, when we're tearing up a road, we should put in additional conduit under the ground for future use for us and everybody around it. Like, they just don't do it, right? So it's on a 5-year thing. But those contracts are highly complicated. And if you are not satisfied as managers of those buildings, please speak up. Those contractors have to put them back in the suitable order, and it starts with those guys. So watch it, please, very closely. We will all watch it. And if you're not getting what you think you need back when those projects are done, we need to speak up loudly about it.
Okay. I do have I don't know what the final condition of the driveway will be, as they know they're doing some sort of drilling that goes under. So I just don't know that, but that could be of concern to us as we think about it. But it's good to hear about Sawyer Street. That is positive.
Yep.
All right. I'll just move on to, I think we now move on to agenda item E, teaching and learning. Unless there's
Yes.
anything else on your report, I think that closes off school updates.
No, it's just, I just want to say, like, I really want to make this work. So, like, you know, we have a facilities finance committee. And I definitely want to partner and hear your thoughts and ideas and make this better. So I didn't mean to sound negative when I was answering.
Yeah, and it's not positive. It's something that we gotta talk about.
Correct.
Sometimes it's not nice to talk about things.
That's right.
But I'm here for the kids and I'm here for.
Yep, that's what
I
I'm saying.
believe that I'm not here to waste my time either.
No.
And I want to make sure that when we spend times and effort of getting $500,000 allocated to town, and I don't see any AC being done, and I see a track I could care less about. And I'm speaking from other families that.
Well, we can talk a little more thoroughly about the AC because I do think AC things are being done. So.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Okay, we've got to stick to our agenda points so that we can.
Well, I just wanted to clarify. what I
Yeah,
said.
and I'm sorry I extended it, but I did want to just say that.
So, Dr. Scollins,
Yes.
the floor is now yours. Do not relinquish it to anyone.
Oh, this is the best part.
This is the part I've been looking forward
Teaching
to.
and learning.
This is
Fantastic.
what we're here for, right?
That's right. Everything is all important. A quick question though, just for me. So when I want to share my screen, can I share it and still open my document to the slideshow? You're gonna have to open the slideshow first because I can't see, right?
Do you want me to, no,
Right?
You-
So then-
you just
And I
did
can just share
you
it,
just did it.
right? But then we
Look.
can do that.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, but now I'm like way ahead. I'm not even on the right slide. Okay,
It
No,
Yeah.
you're back, you're back.
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay. All right, there we go.
And they can see us at home.
Fantastic. All right, great. So, hi.
Hi.
I'm excited to talk about this, a little bit of a little shift. So, we're going to talk a little bit about some of our curriculum updates and just some things that we have done recently and a little bit about what we're doing in the future. So, but I first wanted to, there we go. Just take you back to our strategic plan. It's really our map that takes us along for the journey for the 21 to 24 school years. And our real mission about what we do at the Cohasset Public Schools, and it's really about placing students first. Everybody has talked about that tonight, and so, you know, this is something that we revisit often. And just to read it really quickly, so it can kind of refocus us, that Cohasset Public Schools places students first. We provide an optimal teaching and learning environment by cultivating empathy, global citizenship, agency, inclusivity, and community engagement to empower students to realize continuous growth and achievement. And that is, you know, kind of that power statement that we have and that we want to make sure is our guide. And then we have 4 compass points, but today we're going to talk about compass point 1, which is teaching and learning. And our strategic objective is to improve student learning through aligned, high quality pre-K through 12 curriculum, strong instructional practices, and personalized learning. So here are those, the initiatives that we have. So to develop and align pre-K through 12 curriculum that includes rigorous, relevant, and culturally responsive content, create and implement a curriculum review guide, offer professional development that focuses on best practices and project-based learning strategies, designing lessons that offer personalized learning opportunities, and culturally responsive teaching and learning. Implement personalized learning and project-based learning into the curriculum, teaching and learning. Develop a district-wide tiered system, MTSS, that supports students at different academic and social emotional levels. Develop a district-wide benchmarking system for collecting and analyzing data to inform instructional support. And develop a vertically aligned computer science digital learning curriculum for K through 12. So again, this is over the course of 3 years. And just like Dr. Sullivan said, we look at them throughout the year and at the end of the year to look and see what have we done. We have timelines, but sometimes those have to be adjusted or we need to do some different things because other things have come up. So some of the things that we found when we started digging into our curriculum and looking at some trends and patterns, we saw that our MCAS data that in math, reading, and science showed the need to evaluate our current curriculum and practices. A review of benchmark assessments K through 12 and in content areas showed a lack of benchmark assessments K through 12. And that includes those common assessments around content. We have some, but we need more. Elementary core literacy resource was outdated. The middle school science program needed to be more strongly aligned to the Massachusetts frameworks. They had done a lot of work years ago, but those standards have changed, and along that way, they had a little bit of a different process. So we've been working closely to align that. Discussions with leadership, teachers, and families showed a desire to have more data to analyze, to show progress, instructional practices, and families specifically would like more information about their child's progress. And also, finally, a review of our iReady diagnostic data, and that's the diagnostic we were using in math and reading, and we implemented this past year for K through 8 students. It created a conversation about the correlation of the iReady personalized learning and then the iReady diagnostic. We were only doing the iReady diagnostic, but the iReady personalized learning is an adaptive learning program. I'll talk a little bit about what we're using for our adaptive programs, but it really created some conversation around whether, you know, using that learning iReady program or how much of an impact that had on our data from our iReady diagnostic. So these are some of the things that we have done. So we implemented our elementary math program, Bridges Math Center. We created a K through 8 assessment team this past year, and we implemented the K-8 benchmark assessment, ELA and math, the iReady diagnostic I just spoke about. We created an elementary literacy assessment team, and we reviewed our current ELA benchmark assessments, and we revised those assessments to really look at how much we're reassessing and where there are duplicates and things like that to make it a more effective assessment package. We created an elementary instructional literacy team. We reviewed our current literacy practices, did some research, and looked at research. We created a vision for elementary literacy, determined components of the Cohasset Public Schools elementary comprehensive literacy approach. We provided professional development in literacy for elementary teachers, looking at the science of reading and creating fluent readers who love to read. We provide professional development to all staff to increase understanding of culturally responsive teaching and learning. And we talked about Dr. Raymond Porch coming last year. He's coming again twice this year to work with us. It's been a nice relationship. Created a curriculum review process, which includes inclusive and culturally responsive guidelines. So it's been created, it's in draft form. Reviewed science MCAS data and science Massachusetts DESE frameworks to determine a new middle school science curriculum. And we revived the multi-tiered system of support, MTSS steering committee, and created MTSS communication process. Oh, looking forward. When we are looking at math, one of the things that we did was we secured a grant, and I did mention this before, but just as a reminder that we secured a grant from the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. And for Osgood, Deer Hill, and Middle School, they're going to have professional development facilitated by Curriculum Associates, which is the company that creates and manages the iReady diagnostic and the iReady personalized learning. And they're going to help us understand the data better and then how to use that data. And so it will be around math. However, it's applicable to ELA. And so both our math and our reading specialists will actually be involved in that also. And so all staff are going to learn that. And then we also, in that grant, we have a pilot where we're going to look at the iReady personalized math. And that's an adaptive program where students takes a little bit of onboarding. They do a certain amount of minutes and it determines their level of understanding. And then it fluctuates as they master, moves them to a next content, a next area at math, or it may keep them or take them back a little bit if they see that they're not making progress. We actually have, before I go there, here it is. Sorry, I went too fast. So we have Dreambox, and we've been using Dreambox at both elementary schools. It's the same concept of that adaptive, but Osgood will keep Dreambox while Deer Hill tries out the iReady personalized learning. The middle school as well as the high school uses IXL actually, it's CMS, but they use that IXL in both reading and.
Sorry. You're actually at the meeting. You don't have to log in.
I know, just want to see something.
And so, but we do use the IXL in math at the middle and high school, and again, that's also an adaptive program. Data will be collected to determine the efficacy of the iReady personalized learning program and the iReady diagnostic at Deer Hill. That's part of that pilot. And the CMS math program will be reviewed using the newly created CPS curriculum review process. And then a new math specialist at CMS will provide interventions to students and work closely with teachers to provide in-class strategies for our math.
May I ask a math question?
Sure.
Or should I wait till the end?
Go for it.
Will will the iReady personalized math be used just for children who are below benchmark, or will it be for all students?
All students in place of Dreambox.
Okay, that will be standard.
And then elementary literacy, I talked about the fact that we worked last year to build our comprehensive literacy approach. And really, this is a very simplistic way of looking at reading, but you have word recognition, and language comprehension, and language comprehension, you come up with reading comprehension. One of the things that we really worked on this year was really looking at how do you learn how to read? And so this is the Scarborough Grove, which really is a graphic of how all of these pieces come together to make sure that we have not only fluent readers, but readers that understand and comprehend, but also then we want to make sure that they love it. But you have to make sure that all of these components in place for them to feel confident and to understand how to read. So, some students pick it up faster than others. As you can see, word recognition at the bottom, those are those, those beginning skills, those phonological awareness, the decoding, the spelling, sight recognition. What are those things? Can they decode and figure out what the sound and letter representation is? And then looking at language comprehension, that background knowledge, vocabulary knowledge, language structure, verbal reasoning, and literacy knowledge. And all of those together will make a skilled reader. We have all those pieces. So we really worked a lot with our consulting group and really working on making teachers, elementary teachers, stronger teachers of reading. They get it when they're in school, but I think there needs to be more. And there's science. Every day you get more and more knowledge around how your brain works. So we need to make sure that we keep that in mind. And this is just one of the slides that actually TLA used to really look at how it all kind of comes together with that reader model. And you can see over to the left that active self-regulation, the motivation and the engagement, the executive functioning skills and strategy use that they need, word recognition strategies, comprehension strategies, vocabulary strategies. And then in the middle, you can see the word recognition on the top, phonological awareness, alphabetical principle, and phonics knowledge, decoding skills, recognition of words. And then below you see language comprehension, and that's the cultural and other content knowledge, reading specific background knowledge. So your genre, your text features, verbal reasoning, inference and metaphors, language and structure, so the syntax and semantics and the theory of the mind. And then together, you can see the bridging the process, concepts, reading fluency, vocabulary knowledge, all those things we just talked about, morphological awareness, graphophonological, semantic, cognitive flexibility, so that letter sound, meaning, and flexibility, all those come together to make the reading and allow that to happen for our students. Like I said, some students pick it up quicker than others. Sometimes there's some learning disabilities that we need to address. And, but if we can have a really strong foundational program, there will be less students who require assistance. So one of the things we're adding this year is the Heggerty Phonological Awareness Program, and that's K through 2. And that will be new this year, like I just said. And that's like this, a little bit of an added bonus around really doing some strong skill building in that area. We have Wilson Foundation's phonics program, and that's been happening K through 3, and we've seen really strong results from that. But I think this additional piece around the phonological awareness, it's a very quick, easy to use program. So it's a 10 to 15 minutes max, but you really get a lot of bang for your buck for it. And lots of districts are using it, and they're really happy with it. Grade 4 through 5, we're working on creating word study. We really find that students need some work around syllables, some work around vocabulary, even for morphology. So actually, one of our reading specialists, Sarah McDonald, is working on that, pulling some programs together to create this for us. Our reading specialists, grades 3 through 5, were trained this past spring in Wilson Just Words for Tier 2 intervention, which is really helpful because I think sometimes, like I said, students need a little more support. And then the grade 2 K through 2 focus for the fall will be on implementing small group instruction and meaningful independent practice. The units of study, which is the program we are going to use, has been delayed, and that'll be part of our readers. That's one of the programs we'll use, our resource for Readers Workshop. They won't be ready for us to unpack, so we are going to wait and get them when they arrive sometime. They said 2022, but we're not really sure when that's going to happen. So we thought rather than rush it and try and use some of the digital stuff, we want it in everybody's hands. I think it'll make for a smoother rollout. So, and they're also implementing Heggerty, so I think it's okay for us to take a little bit of a pause. I needed to make that into lemonade when I heard things weren't coming. It first was delayed because of paper, and then some other things happened. So anyway.
We're not alone in that.
Oh, everybody, yeah, everyone's in the same place. And many of us are in the same boat with getting it this year or replacing what they already have. And then grades 3 through 5, we actually received that last year, the units of study. So we had our consultants help us unpack those and create lessons. This year, they're going to not only continue their work on unpacking those units of study, but they're going to focus on the mini lesson and creating small group focus on foundational skills. And then we will continue our relationship with Teaching Learning Alliance. They will be doing our professional development. In fact, they are going to be here the second day to work with the 3 through 5, and then they will be back on the 7th to work with all of our staff. But they'll be here throughout the year doing that embedded PD, which the teachers have found extremely helpful and is really changing their pedagogy and their thoughts around how we teach reading. So this is a quick graphic. And you have to, this is my basic skills. I'm going to find someone who's spiffier than me. But this is our Reader's Workshop model, and we changed a little bit. We have the mini lesson, and that is a very short, explicit instruction that happens. Usually you hear about independent reading, and it's that larger block, but we had a really robust discussion around really what should that be for us. And we decided we wanted to call it target time. And that meant that in that time, these things would be happening. There would be independent reading, but not just you pick a book and your reading is very specific, and students have goals that they're working on, and teachers could be doing reading conferencing with them. Those are individual conferences to set those goals for students, making sure they have just right books, and then also small group instruction. So that could happen during that target time, and at the end, there's a group share. We all come back together in that period. And so that's just our Reader's Workshop. That doesn't include all the word work and the other things that are happening. This is just that, what it looks like during that time when we're doing Reader's Workshop. And then just a quote, because one of the things we really want to make sure is that we give them the foundational skills. We want them to be able to comprehend. We really want them to love to read. So getting books in kids' hands, like real literature, is so important. So, the science of reading has brought out so many amazing things that we need to be considering, but we also don't want to throw everything out and lose the joy and love of reading. So I don't know about you, but this summer I am, thrilled to have that stack of books next to my bed I'm actually getting through. And some of them are really just quick summer novels that people say, I can't believe you're reading that. I think, yes, I am. I love it. But then I'm reading some of my other books, right? Some of those other things that I really have to spend some time because I want to learn something new or I want to go on a different kind of journey. So anyway, so that's our quick little quote. We teach a child to read, but fail to develop a desire to read. We will have created a skilled non-reader, a literate illiterate, and no high test score will ever undo that damage. I don't ever want a kid to look and say that they're not a reader, either because they don't understand it or they're not a reader because they think reading only happens because I'm in a textbook. I want them to know how to read. So, and that's our philosophy, and that's how we really, we all feel here. And then we did some work, like I said, around our benchmark assessments, and we pulled that team together and we reviewed and revised our benchmark assessments. And there were some that were duplicates, but we also wanted to make sure, did we have our dyslexia screeners? Were we making sure that we had a good overview of our students? And we looked at our timelines and when we were doing those. I didn't share all that with you, but here's the assessments. The only new one that we're actually adding is the Heggerty, but we have our DIBELS 8, grade K through 5, and that's a dyslexia screener. Our iReady diagnostic, that's grades K through 8, that's also considered a dyslexia screener. Heggerty, K through 2, our DRAs, which is, it's a more involved assessment where students read, and then there's some questions that they have to ask, that they're asked and we have to answer. So that's a K through 2. And then our writing prompts will be K through 5. And then we have level fiction 3 through 5, just to kind of give us a baseline of where students are reading to help us when we're looking at some of the just right books and things like that. And then science at the middle school, we're implementing Open Sci Ed. And this is a free, high quality, open source, locally adaptable, full course of materials. That's right off the website. So right now, actually, most of our members, our middle school team, as well as Mr. Mills, the principal, and Ed Savage, our department chair, are actually in this training. And it's a 4-day training.
Good reviews so far.
Amazing. And the nice thing about this is that they have high school parts, and they're actually moving it to the elementary school also. And so they're actually field testing some of it next year at the elementary level. So it's a very hands-on experience. It's inquiry-based, it's based on phenomenon, so it's really about the students learning. It's not a lot of students being told. It's they're giving a phenomenon, they're giving a problem of practice, they have to figure it out. So it's amazing what they've come together. So, and that's right through DESE. So I keep watching for a grant because I hear there may be another grant coming out around professional development. So I want to keep my eye open on that. And that's just some of the resources that we used, some of the slides. So.
Just go around, Mr. Carr, any comments or thoughts or questions on the curriculum?
I don't see Mr. Carr. Be back in the.
You said terrific.
Terrific.
Oh, he did. Oh.
All right, Mr. Kearney?
I love it. I love the part where it's learn to read and then read to learn. And, I would say that I'm so grateful for the teachers. My kids love to read. And it's unbelievable. And and it's all about like early stages so to see all these programs at an early age, really, and I love your enthusiasm too, because it is really super to watch your kid read, learn how to read, and it's great. It's a great. Thank you.
Chairman Cullen.
Thank you, Dr. Scollins. I just know that this is basically a summary of an absolute ton of work on, from you. Over, just developing on things that have been, implemented over time. And I think it also represents a fairly responsive answer to community's demand for increased attention in certain areas, including assessment, but also literacy. I know that many people would want more, but this is a snowball type of thing where it's over time, and we'll gradually get to that robust product that I think some people yearn for. It's not an overnight thing, but this is it's just you should be really proud of yourself. And we hadn't seen this before you and Dr. Sullivan took the helm, so to speak. And I'm really appreciative of it. I mean, I think it's kind of lost in like a PowerPoint presentation. Just what this says. I mean, it's the development of a math and literacy curriculum, which is an enormous undertaking. And you have really poured yourself into it. And at times it's been really challenging. So thank you for everything you do, Dr. Scollins.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Ms. St. Ange?
I think these look like good updates. I'm excited about Haggerty. I've just seen that be a really important piece of the literacy program where I work. And I think if you guys look at the Scarborough's rope, Foundation's really targeting decoding and spelling and sight recognition, but doesn't have a strong phonological awareness piece. And Haggerty really fills that in beautifully, and hopefully will put those foundational skills in place and make strong readers early, because you can't switch from learning to read to reading to learn if you don't have those skills in place. I am curious about ratios and numbers in our classrooms during the readers workshop, just because you think about the kids who don't benchmark or need support, who are not comfortable, confident, independent readers.
Right.
Do we have enough, ESPs, special eds, co-taught classrooms to make sure that kids are getting what they need during that target time?
Right, and that's a great question. That's something that we really talked about. In fact, I spent a lot of time with Sarah McDonald at the end of the year, looking at scheduling, and then how do we do that? Because that's right on, because there are certain kids that don't either have the stamina yet, they don't have the skills yet, and you can't have them sitting in a corner.
Yeah,
like
and
fake
it's super
reading.
easy to
There's no fake reading. You can't have fake reading.
Yeah.
So, so we were looking at the schedule and really coordinating with her and then the other reading specialist about maybe that's time actually when those students get some more targeted. Yeah, they might have some targeted time outside the classroom. So it's that time where we can really triage kids too. So that's a great question. And that did come up because, there are lots of students that can, but then there's also students that can't, and we can't
Yeah,
just assume everybody's the same.
right.
not.
And we need to have that
I mean, more
one-on-one
support.
to make sure we know they're doing what we
Absolutely,
want them to be doing.
exactly.
The other question I have is about writing prompts. And so I'm wondering when they were established and if there are exemplars in place and a rubric and how calibration is done for those.
So that's what we're moving.
You guys
toward.
probably have the same questions, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna move toward that because we really haven't really addressed writing very much at
Yeah.
all. They use empowering readers. I think a lot of teachers use that. I don't think there's really been a set curriculum well. So, so those writing prompts, they do get revisited, but we did have a lot of talking about that in our assessment team. And then even with our teachers around how are we looking at those and how are we grading those and what are we doing? Are you in a team and are you looking at them and sharing them? So we haven't done that.
Okay, so that's
It's
in
the
progress.
process. Yeah, okay. It was mostly really looking at when did those fall in conjunction with all our other assessments.
And just one per like each genre of writing, so for our 3 major groups. Okay,
Good question. though.
thank you. I think that's all I have for now, but exciting reorganization of science too. That was a major turnaround when those standards got flipped around. That really upset the science world.
It
became
did,
hard to-
yeah, and I think what happened too was that our science teachers were working with someone and they ended up clumping them.
Yeah.
So they were kind of a little bit unaligned, so, but yeah, they've done amazing work. And they're working over the summer, not only taking on the professional development, but really looking at what they're going to do next year. So it's very good. Thank you.
Can I just add one more point?
Yes, sure.
I also think it's important to note that, it's an evolving process. So the assessments and tests, they will yield data and information that will let us know whether or not we have the right formula here. I think Mrs. St. Ange just pointed out, there's things such as curriculum pairings that may or may not work great together, or, curricular tools that may or may not work best for our district. But, obviously it's important to be responsive to the product that these proposed solutions yield, right? And to make sure that we pivot if necessary, so that we're realizing the product that we're trying to achieve. Right.
And I think too, teachers are our most important resource, right? So we do purchase programs, we get books, we get textbooks, we get other materials and resources, but really spending time on really working with our teachers to improve their teaching skills is really what all these focuses have been about. That's what TLA does with us. That is what Open Ed Science is. Really, it's really about pedagogy. It's really about how do you teach it. Here's all your free resources. How do you teach it? And how do you engage? And so it's really a lot of pedagogy and strategies and really becoming a better teacher, because that's our biggest asset. That's where you can make a difference. If you have a phenomenal teacher, it actually almost doesn't matter what resource you have, right? I mean, they're going to come up with something. Now, obviously, we want to have really good resources and we want to have high quality, but your teacher is they're your biggest.
Delivery.
So that's a great point.
All right. Dr. Sconlon, I want to echo everything people said about the hard work that goes into this. I kind of disagree. This PowerPoint does indicate a lot of hard work, but knowing how much more, this is just the tip of the iceberg that goes underneath it is really impressive. One thing I do want to commend you on is, I guess, two things. One, I love that you're looking at things and willing to experiment and trying new things, seeing where they go, piloting programs. That's the way we learn. That's phenomenal. That's great for the kids. I also note that, we've had over, at least my time on this committee, we've identified some issues with middle school math. And I see here, 3 separate bullet points where this is on your agenda to focus on that. So, for this committee and for the community, this is our administration responding to the needs that we identify as we move forward. So this is phenomenal. I do want to, and we have this, teaching and learning as a standing update. So I want to keep hearing from you about how these things are going, what we're learning, what's working, what's not, what surprises we have, what things we need to change. So keep us apprised as to how the school year goes with these things. It's very exciting. Thank you.
We have a couple of comments.
Excellent.
Um,
Let's go to town.
Two of them, this one, the first one is Abigail Sullivan, 87 Pleasant Street. And she starts with the work of Lucy Calkins has received much criticism for the many ways it has failed American school children. It is very surprising that Cohasset invested in the new version of this program, given its many flaws. What other programs were considered or explored? I'm worried that the consulting group TLA led Cohasset deeper into balanced literacy practices, which leave many readers behind. The structured literacy approach benefits all students, and many require it. Why is Cohasset choosing to spend money on a program written by an author who, until very recently, ignored the body of research referred to as the science of reading? Were there other options for more reliable authors to consider?
So, loaded, lots of questions.
Yeah.
So I think great questions and things that we talked about when we were looking at what we wanted to do. And we looked at Reader's Workshop, and one of the things that we felt as a group around Reader's Workshop is that it's hard to use a textbook because of the way a textbook is structured, or an anthology or a basal, whatever you want to call it. But using the units of study out of Teachers College for us made sense because it's allowing us to take that resource on top of using the what we know about the science of reading, right? Looking at our phonics, looking at our phonological awareness, making sure that our kids have those skills, because we want to have that comprehensive approach. TLA didn't lead us down that path. TLA has been working with us on coaching our teachers and helping them become stronger teachers of reading, because that's what we really want, because they make the day-to-day decisions about what happens in the classroom. So it wasn't that that they necessarily led us to that. Our instructional literacy team, we looked at things, and we felt that as a Reader's Workshop, really the work of Lucy Calkins and the units of study was the best program that dovetails with that. Now, the K through 2 programming has been revised, and the Teachers College has looked at it and made changes based on the science of reading. She's talked about that. I've been in workshops with her to hear about those changes. There hasn't been as many changes for the 3 through 5. The K2 is really where their biggest concerns are. There's been a lot of press about it, for sure, around this. I'm also involved with a group in the state of Massachusetts with all of the districts that are using units of study, are going to continue to use the units of study, and are looking at globally what they need to do. No one product is going to do it all. So we couldn't just pull a textbook off and do everything. So what we've done is we look at all of the things that are out there and what's best for us. Well, we like foundations. We feel like we're getting a lot of results, but just like Lydia said, that phonological awareness isn't really being addressed. So we need to attack that. So we got Heggerty,
Which is very science of reading.
which is very much, absolutely. And the same for looking at our fourth and fifth graders. They need syllable work. They don't know how to break up words. So that's not in the units of study. That's not in foundation. It's not in Heggerty. So we have to bring that in and find things, because we have to address our needs of our students that we need to do. So
We have to address the individual needs. And not make
absolutely
assumptions that one technique is going to work.
correct, because everybody has an
So,
individual profile.
To drift a little bit away from what we're calling balanced literacy, we're looking at comprehensive literacy. Heggerty is certainly a quote unquote science of reading thing. We really shouldn't be looking at this as some kind of war between people who adhere to what is called the science of reading and those who might adhere to something that was once called more of a balanced literacy model. There's science, to say something is scientifically factual is almost creating an opposition
Right, and
and a
that's not-
war. Like, we're looking to help every single kid. And we're bringing in pieces of programs that will help every kid. And we'll continue to look at that so that we're not going to be prescriptive with one technique. Heggerty is a perfect example.
Right.
Bringing in Heggerty for academic awareness. And, you know, we're doing phonics with foundations,
Yeah.
and we are using it as a study. So we're trying to meet every kid's needs through a comprehensive approach to literacy.
There's lots of towns that have had great success and they use units of study. But also in addition, they're also doing what we're doing. They have foundations, they're putting in Heggerty or they've had Heggerty. They're using some other pieces that they think are important that are going to help their population and help their students. So I think we all want the same. We want students that can read fluently and they can decode, they understand, they broke the code, they understand how to read. They understand what all that, the letter and sound representation means. And then they also can comprehend, right? Because you can have a child who can decode and they're fluent, but they can't tell you what they just read. We want to make sure kids are fluent, that they can understand complex text. And then we also want them to love reading. So if we can find a magic recipe for that, then I think we're in a great spot. And again, we're very similar to other districts. We have Wellesley, Weston, Westwood, Rentham, Amherst. I mean, I can go on and on about the districts.
It's
that are-
actually many of the higher performing districts.
Yeah.
are-
In
are-
Duxbury, we have, Carlisle, Lexington, tons of.
And that doesn't make a huge difference to us. 'Cause
No, it
we're really
doesn't,
trying to do,
but I
but
guess-
we are in company with folks who care for kids and they're showing great results.
Correct.
So,
But it's been nice to be with this other group of educators. And they are assistant superintendents, they're reading specialists, they're literacy coaches. And we are all looking at how are we going to make sure that our kids are getting everything that they need. And so,
We have another question that kind of I would say piggybacks with that. This is from Cassie Muir from 40 Redgate Lane. She says, I'm concerned about the use of units of study as a choice, given DESE's recommendation of not utilizing such curriculum that is poorly rated as this one of the curriculum aligned with Lucy Calkins. Why is our district choosing to use this as a choice, given the latest research released from this publisher, Heinemann, that they have come under fire about a number of issues? Happy to share reports for SC members to see how poorly rated this curriculum is. Yeah, we're happy to share that as well.
yeah, we
I'm
have
happy to
that. Yeah,
give more rationale and data around why
absolutely.
we're sticking with this and moving in a comprehensive direction.
Absolutely. And I think, I think the rubrics that are used can sometimes be a little bit challenging. I think Ed Reports had a certain rubric that they use. And in this particular case, it may not have aligned necessarily with everything that's there. And we've had conversations, I've had conversations with DESE about it, myself around the units of study. The units of study was huge. They pushed it hard for a long time. But now we're, looking to see how can we address some of those concerns that they had. And the K through 2 Teachers College, they have addressed some of those things around the science of reading and changing some of the things that they've asked that they thought were good ideas, and now they've changed their thoughts about it.
It's good conversation. because it's-
Absolutely.
And particularly if it's data driven, and we can dive a little bit more
Right.
into what the data is actually saying. And what that word science actually means, which is always interesting.
Yeah.
Because this, you can look at science and look at some different ways.
Yeah. I think it's a very hot topic, without a doubt. You can just Google science of reading, you can Google Lucy Calkins, you can Google reading wars. They've been going on forever.
Reading wars.
It's called Reading Wars, and that's been going, there's actually a book called Reading Wars. It's from the 60s.
I can read to learn.
So, so there's, it started with By Johnny Can't Read. I mean, this has been going on for a really long time, and it will continue. I think our job is to stay focused and keep current and look at our students and choose good resources, but also really invest in our teachers and teach them how to be better at their jobs.
Meet the needs of every.
And meet the needs of every student, because everyone's an individual. Some students need more time learning how to decode or read some different kinds of programming to help them read. Other students don't. They pick it up as a natural way with the core instruction that we used. So, and that's always been the way it is, and it will continue to be that way.
So what we're hearing, and this is what's great about being in such an educated community, we have very educated parents and very good questions. Thank you, Ms. Muir and Ms. Sullivan, for your questions. And I guess I'm hoping they take comfort in the fact that you didn't say, what does this all mean? You're
No.
aware of all the things they're talking
yeah,
about,
yeah,
both sides, and you've assessed our available resources. And the combination of things you put together is in your judgment, what meets our students where they are and what meets their needs. So
Yeah, and our teachers really, the 3 through 5 have had the opportunity to unpack those units and they're excited about them. This is a hard job too, right? Being a teacher is a hard job, but opening a textbook and turning the page is very easy. We're actually asking them to do something that's much more challenging. We're asking them to take these, because it's not a textbook, you just flip the page. It's really about kind of this explicit instruction in very systematic ways of teaching them how to be a reader, how to comprehend, what things they need to look for, on top of all of the other foundational pieces that we
Mr. It sounds like you might have had a comment or a question.
I just, it's very important to take the perspectives of everyone into consideration and, very, very appreciative of Ms. Muir's input throughout, the last couple of years. She's been very vocal and it's helpful because she's gained a lot of knowledge in this area. Ms. Sullivan runs a business that I think runs a business in town in this area. She has a lot of knowledge about it, and I think she helps, a lot of people in what she does in amazing ways. And I think, sometimes makes a night and day difference for people. And so I think, as Mr. Dial said, it's really, we're really fortunate to have folks that not only have these abilities and backgrounds, but also have the bandwidth to participate in these meetings and share them with their insight with us. I do sometimes get a little bit defensive in that I feel that the district, especially our assistant superintendent and sometimes director of student services, comes under fire. Or concepts are presented in a somewhat indicting manner that could sometimes be a little bit incendiary. Like, so if I'm listening to this for the first time, and I don't know who is, but this is recorded and these are viewed by people, and they sort of live on in posterity, these meetings, these recordings. So, if I'm listening to this and saying, well, why would the district choose some poorly rated curriculum or something that's, not recommended by DESE or something? These aren't, first of all, and I am not as well versed as, I will readily concede that I'm not as well versed as someone like Abigail Sullivan or Cassie Muir in this area. Certainly not someone with a doctorate of education. But from my experience, from serving on the school committee or someone with a master's degree in this area and does this for a job, I don't know as much as you. But what I have sort of discerned is that learning differences, as I've been taught, is a great way to look at them as opposed to disabilities. Or, they are differences in that they can be very subjective. And what works for one student may not work for the next student. When you're dealing with a district, you're dealing with a whole array of learning differences that you're trying to find a practical, solution to address. And I think, like we said, it's an evolving situation. We're constantly striving to find the best tools to address our most vulnerable students. And just in general, even from a general perspective, literacy in general, right? And ensuring that everyone has a fair shot in learning as best as they possibly can. But I think it's very difficult to say that I don't personally believe that there's one, generally accepted excellent curriculum that everyone should be using. That isn't the case. And I think that we have two very qualified people running our district, who are taking all of these factors into consideration. They're not, as I think Mr. Dodd was just sort of saying, they're not like, oh, what? It's not, there's some negative press about this, and this is the first time they're hearing it. These are purposeful decisions that you are making about our curriculum, and you're making them with the best interests of our student body in mind. You're placing our students first. So I just want to be clear that like, I just don't like sometimes the underlying tone that there are neglectful actions being taken surrounding the development of our curriculum in our district. And I say that with the utmost respect for the opinions and perspectives that are being conveyed or communicated right now, because I am not as well versed as some of the parents and guardians that do share their perspectives. But I do get a little bit defensive about the way sometimes the thoughts are communicated, because I don't want to give people the wrong impression. You know, there's not a lot of districts that have a super and an assistant super that both have doctorates of education. There are not, a lot of districts that I think so openly and earnestly and aggressively take community insight into consideration in the development of their curriculum. And I just do want to put that out there. And I'm not trying to diminish the impact or gravity or importance of the two comments we heard. It's not my intent. It just sort of made me think about these thoughts that I wanted to share. That's all. And I think both those individuals, I know them personally. I think they know that I appreciate them. But I just get nervous sometimes the way some things are communicated. And I thought it was important to state that on the record.
You have another comment?
Sure, can we, another comment? Okay, this is an additional comment by Ms. Muir from Redgate Lane. For the committee members, as is the case of special education, this is not an idle topic where the community can rely upon the conflicted word of the administration. The results earned by our children are vastly under where we would expect. The curriculum is proven to be inadequate to teach our children the skills they need to read. Lucy Calkins herself has admitted this. This administration refuses to speak the truth when it comes to its responsibilities. The SC should act with purpose, with purpose to correct course. That's the rest of the comment.
Thank you, Ms. Muir, and appreciate your comments. For that one, I think we're just going to let that one stay there. I think we are doing what we can as a school committee to oversee the curriculum. As Vice Chair McCullen said, we have great leadership here. I heard nothing in the presentation from Dr. Scollins that suggested that anything was not being discussed. It sounds like we have a process that is applied to assess curriculum. Decisions are made. Sounds like there are debates as to what an appropriate curriculum should look like, and there can be reasonable people deciding things on both sides of the decision. What we can't argue with is the fact that we do have qualified people. They are exercising a process and using their judgment in their roles here as superintendents and assistant superintendent to develop a curriculum that they believe is in the best interest of our children. That does not mean that we blindly follow that, which is why we have these discussions and why we appreciate your challenge and welcome you to further engage on curriculum as we discuss it throughout the year. So unless there's anything further from either Dr. Scollins or Dr. Sullivan, although Ms. Anand, you may have had a comment.
I do, and it's literacy related, just because now that we're having this conversation, I'm just thinking, we are not the only district in the Commonwealth looking for new curriculum right now. It's a very common place to be in. I'm just curious in relationship to professional development.
Right.
Like last year, a major part of our effort as my district went through the same, my employing district went through the same thing. Looking at the mass literacy, the 4 shifts, and really unpacking that, because like you said, you can put whatever you want in front of a teacher, and then every teacher's kind of an island. You close that door and they're teaching what they're teaching, and not all of us went to grad school at the same time, and not all of us had a major focus on reading in our master's programs. And so I think looking at a document like the 4 shifts and making sure that our staff are aligned in that understanding is so important. Like so many teachers I work with, we're used to like a 3 queuing system.
Yes.
Oh, let's look at the pictures. What does it mean?
So
And-
shifting away from
Right,
that.
and shifting away from that, and I think that a document like this and using that with PD, which I'm not telling you how to do your job, obviously, but gives people permission to do something different from what they were originally taught whenever they went and got their master's or did follow-up work. So we're all, shifting. It's a shift.
It is.
And it takes time to shift. And it takes support to shift and reiteration. And so I think that perhaps throughout the year, if PD is done in relation to this, we could hear about it and how that is being, how teachers are being supported in that way. So that, as DESE, as the state is saying, here are these 4 major categories, which is not, it's not a long document, but it's a dense document. I know we kind of unpacked it one point at a time over the year last year, and I'm sure we'll circle back and do it again. But I'd love to hear about that as that goes on, just because I think that element of it, as K through 2 is putting into place, okay, now we have this other piece, and it can be very overwhelming time-wise. You only have a certain amount of time, and kids still have to get to specials and recess and lunch, and how you plug in another piece and do it well and do it justice. And to Ms. Mears' point, how do we make sure that children who are on IEPs or people who aren't on IEPs but are just kind of on the cusp of needing support, how is everyone getting the support they need? And that is our focus. We need to make sure that that is happening. And so as that happens, I think we'd love to hear about it during the meeting.
Yeah, that's great.
Any other community comments?
At the moment.
That will, unless there's anything else, Dr. Scollins, we'll close off teaching and learning.
Good.
All right, and now we'll move to item F, budget, resources, and governance. I believe we have a staffing hiring report.
Yes, I think I have that to share. So we are doing very well with our staffing at this current time. Make this a little bit bigger. Maybe just that better? You guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. The good thing is you can see the blanks here that we haven't filled yet. We actually have.
Right.
Today. So these two, we did put it on here. And so we have to just finalize if the offer's been made and accepted verbally. So we're in a tremendously good spot. We actually hired the special education teacher at grade 4 already, our night custodian. We've hired our bus driver. Ms. Owen, do you want to update on bus drivers at this point? I know there's transportation, but you can at least tell them about the hiring. This is very good news for everybody out there, including certainly Sue. Go ahead, Sue.
Hi, so yes, 2, or I shouldn't say 3 out of our 4 potential bus drivers have now passed their test. So Touche, we have 1, 2, 3 full-time bus drivers coming on board and 1 backup bus driver that wants to do part-time field trips and athletics. So we're in a very good place. We will not be doubling up any routes. We're actually looking to hire 1 more because we'd like to have two spares. So the good news is, at least our routes are all covered now.
I haven't seen Ray smile like this since he's been
He's actually
hired.
dancing.
I mean, he was just glowing,
Yeah.
and he deserves it, and
Yeah.
choose to, so, and the community does. I mean, we really want to just say once again, the patience that we appreciated. It was a tough time for everyone, and the Cohasset School community really were very patient with us as we absolutely did everything we could to try to get drivers, and we got them now. We got them all at once, but we'll be ready for this next year. So I feel really good about that. So that's not necessarily reflected here either, because we've been able to bring these folks on. And we were able to hire a fully licensed driver too. We didn't have to train that one. So that was really nice. And,
Yes.
You work in a nice community, you do tend to get people come in. So we haven't had any trouble filling positions, and the quality of staff has been really high, despite the fact that there's a massive teacher shortage out there. You'll be hearing these things. These are our first choices in every single case. So people want to come here to teach, and we're filling these spots
very rapidly. And that's going to pay off for our kids. So really, really happy about that. Um,
2 temporary teachers that we retained as full-time teachers now.
That's right.
I don't want to embarrass them, but they're extraordinary teachers and we're really lucky to,
And beat out every single teacher that was from other places applying for the position.
Yep.
So
they're,
that's just-
they're excellent
Yes.
assets.
Oh, that's
And
huge.
I'm really happy that they're aboard now
Yeah.
as full-time teachers.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Very exciting.
Yeah, and that's obviously Mr. Salvo Schneider.
So I didn't want to embarrass them.
Oh, they will, because I think we were saying, but they're amazing. So we're very lucky to have them on board. We had our elementary art opening, just so you know where that came from. Our amazing Felicia Franks has moved on to an administrative position.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes you do get those excellent teachers who are just looking to move up. So that was a tough loss for us, but we just filled that position today. So that's actually not a blank anymore. I can't share the name yet, but so we're really left with, and just in terms of what we're filling, the ESP at Osgood. We have an ESP at a high school at the high school. I don't believe we've filled that yet. Did we fill the physical therapist? Possibly
Oh, I
physical.
think we just moved somebody, maybe someone.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out. But there are very few positions here that we haven't already filled in the last like 2 days. Or we're, I think the technology teacher at the middle school is the only one I can think of on here that we actually haven't filled. And literally have been filled in the last day. We just can't put the name in yet because we don't have the paperwork also. So we're in a really, really good spot. And moving forward, we feel very good about this group. And of course, that includes all of our administrative contracts, which have been renewed for 3 years. So no delay, no backing up, moving forward, and sticking to our plan and trying to make the place better. Great, that's good. Anything else you want to share with that, Sue?
No. I just think it's a miracle that we had, two of our 3 drivers that had failed previously took the test and passed, and then we actually hired an outside person who was already licensed, ready to go. Good news is, she said, the deciding factor was our pay scale and our benefits. The benefits was a big deciding factor. So we have great benefits in Cohasset.
And it is good to know how rigorous they are with the test. So, I mean, you want that, and
You do want that.
We know that.
Which keeps our clean
Precious
record going
cargo, yeah.
with our
Yeah.
buses.
So good stuff. Great.
Any comments from the committee on hiring?
Very pleased. This is great.
Good. Yeah, we're in a good spot at this time of the year. Great.
That's true.
All right.
I think we'll move now to our budget and finance update with Ms. Susan Owen.
So you need
Okay.
to share in terms of a product?
Yes, let me find it. I don't know if I have it up already.
I think I do.
Do you have it up?
Yeah, let me see it here. Yep.
Do you have it with the pictures, Pat?
What's that?
Do you have it with the pictures? If you just want to share my screen, I should be fine.
Right there. Yeah, I do.
You do, okay. So just to give you an update on what's happening over the summer, as we all know, the track replacement, it's currently paved and it's in the curing period. They're looking to schedule the resurfacing in the next week or so. As soon as they can get to it, that would be great. I mean, we can utilize it right now with foot traffic. They just don't want heavy equipment on it. So that's good news.
Kids, we haven't really advertised it, but right at this point, we can be on the turf. You can be on the turf
Yeah.
during this time period. So I've stopped kicking kids off of it.
Okay.
It's not me being lazy, I'm just not. It's okay at this point. There's gonna be a point where we have to take them off again.
Yes.
Very quickly on the track, I know that should we update people on anticipated scheduling and sporting calendaring? I know that was a issue, and we can just give the conclusion if we want to just.
Yeah, I mean, right now, we're looking at something happening. It looks like it'll be complete the 27th of September,
Mhm.
if I remember that date correctly. And we've already rejiggled some of our contests so that it's not going to impact us
It's just, where we would have had a home contest in September, we just switched that. So now we'll have obviously more home contests as we go through the season.
Cold weather home games.
Yeah, but the amount of home games hasn't changed. So right now, we're on a schedule that it's gonna be pretty minimal. I'm hoping upon hopes that we're gonna be able to use the turf for more practice scenarios. The issue is that our track is so close to our turf. And what they're concerned with are footprints on the track as it does that 2-week period of solidifying. So we're not gonna break any rules, but we're gonna certainly try to get our kids on that turf as much as possible, because it is a little frustrating. You get a perfectly workable turf, which eventually needs to be replaced, and then you have you just getting to the turf. But you think about soccer balls flying off of the turf and then kids get it, that might be a problem. So we're looking at scenarios whether it can be temporary fencing around it for just a couple weeks so they can practice and everything like that. We're still working out those solutions. Minimal, right now, minimal disruption, right on timeline. Would you say so?
Yes, we are.
Excellent.
Has that been communicated to like youth programs, like youth field hockey that I just put in my calendar as practice on the turf, starting September 4th or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'd have to look at
Right?
Sue.
I'm just making sure, like, if,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
So the question is, we're gonna have to look at our,
like field rental.
Extra.
our facilities usage requests. to make s-
I know Athletic Director Rotundi has gone through all the schedules, as far as I know, through the emails that he's communicated to us that, like you said, Pat, he's scheduled he swapped out all the home games to be later in the
No.
season.
That's not what I'm referring to, though. So I'm referring to the youth sports. So
For
we have-
the rentals, so it's the same thing. Steve is involved with the
He's gone through
rentals.
that?
So I can check with Jerry when she gets
Yeah.
back next week, but as far as I know, they're on top of those things.
Well, I'm sure they are, but we'll double
I
check.
just wanted to
Yes.
raise it because
Oh, it's a good question. We just-
No, thank you.
sports are peripheral and not always
Yep.
It's a
at the
good
top
question.
of the mind.
Thank you, Ms.
Great.
Allen. All right, Ms.
Great
Owen.
question. So just to go through the middle school nurse, bathroom and AC, that project's completed. I have some pictures attached just to show you, at the end of this memo.
That's the AC in there. There's a brand new AC.
But I think you might be talking about the gym, now that I realize it, when you were talking about AC, you're talking about the gym projects, right?
Oh, the whole AC. Not
Okay.
that, but-
Because I was thinking about this and I knew this was done.
Yeah, no, I'm glad this was done. 'Cause Lydia, we took the walk in there and we couldn't believe it was so hot in there. Now
It's done.
it was just compressed. And then that bathroom being there as opposed to where it was before.
Okay.
It's a big one.
Yeah, you can see in the pictures at the end of the memo that, you can't even tell, that there was even renovations to that. So there's the track. So here's the bathroom. Where these chairs are was where there was a door.
Right there.
Right where the 3 chairs were was the door. That was the second bathroom in the nurse's office. They've now closed off that wall in the nurse's office. If you scroll down a little bit, I think it will show you, there's the door in the hallway. So the door previously was off to the right somewhere in the nurse's office, and now the door is in the hallway. You
You
wouldn't
can see
even,
there's clearly doing some, the bathroom doesn't look so great, I have to be honest, but they're doing some tile work in there.
they didn't touch the bathroom itself. They just changed the doorway.
Yeah, and I can see it's at least 42 inches. I can't, but I can see that a wheelchair could fit.
Yes,
And I also noticed that they have the handicap.
that's right. But I do also notice there's some upgrades. in that bathroom.
Right,
But
right.
it
They
is
did
very-
not, like I said, they did not, as facilities said, they didn't touch the floor, the tiling, the appliances in there. They just literally changed that doorway.
That's fresh, that's the work, right?
Yeah, and who's it gonna be available for? All students, or is it somewhere like you could have? Is it,
Is that a faculty bathroom now?
I think this is a faculty bathroom so that the staff, so the students can utilize the bathroom in the nurse's office. I think, is that right? Do you know, sir?
Originally, it was brought up because we didn't have enough gender neutral bathrooms in the
Oh,
middle
that's-
school.
Right,
It's a gender neutral bathroom.
right.
Yep, that's what it is.
Is it just for gender neutral or is it for all students to use it? Because it's like, there are situations.
It's for all students to use it,
Well, I believe it would be for all students.
meaning that you can use that no matter how you identify.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. So if you think that's a better bathroom than
You got
say the other ones that's closed, whatever, you can. go
That's
to.
it.
I just want to make.
That's right. I'm sorry, I had forgotten the use of it. And then this is the AC, right?
Yeah, sorry. Pitches
So you
need to
have to
be
flip your brain. here.
rotate. You have to flip your brain a little and look to the side. But there's the window that's up above and there's the air conditioning unit right there. So they now have air in that room.
Fantastic.
Good stuff.
All right.
So the next item was the science room, which has been, we've been talking about it for a couple of years now. But if you can skip to the pictures if you want, Pat, because I've got the memo in front of me.
Just playing with sizing here. I don't know why.
It's-
That's
All
okay. But then they can see as
What
they
do you want me
talk.
to show them?
So there's the track.
Oh, this is the track in its current state.
That's the track currently with the pavement. It's just waiting to be resurfaced.
And it's gonna be a really nice two-tone,
Yes.
blue and gray, I'm told,
Oh,
which will
track.
set us apart.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you can scroll right through. I think there's 2 pictures of the track. Then we had pictures of the nurse's bathroom and what that looks like.
Yeah, and the science, you're gonna go to the science room.
Yes.
Science room is next. So science room was a huge project. So this is, all these pipes you see are all new. So they had to bring in all the water, all the gas lines. We actually felt the tremors from it downstairs in central office because all those pipes that are running go through our ceiling, which is their floor. So our office right now is a little bit discombobulated. Some ceiling tiles are still down, but all the piping and stuff is done. And right now they're replastering the walls. And then the furniture will be coming in. So if you want to scroll through, it will just show a couple pictures of what they've added to this, room. So that would be one lab table. There's another one there. There should be several there. And then there's a wash station. It was extensive work, to say the least, of what they had to do.
But it will be a properly outfitted science lab.
It will have the wash stations, it will have the shower, it will have all the gas in the water. So that's gonna be, and this is what it's supposed to look like. So those are all the lab tables with their piping and,
So is
The
it
next-
one or two?
excuse me,
One lab or 2 labs?
We already have,
one lab.
It's one. lab.
but we already have.
We already have, the rest of them are all fine. It's this
Yes.
one did not have its own water or gas.
Go in the other class.
Yes, that's correct.
That wasn't loud.
They were sharing with the class next door.
Yep.
Good job.
Next on the list is the football field light replacement. There's the lights, they're complete, they all work, they're not different colors. So that's great news. Hopefully it saves us some money because it's through the green lighting. Deer Hill flooring, all the prep work is done and they've started laying the new floor last week.
Yes, that's press box. So go back to the list. So
Yeah, that's okay. I don't have any pictures of Deer Hill flooring because
It's just
there's not anything exciting to look at about the Deer Hill flooring. The next one is the press box. I know people wanted to see what the plans were.
Yeah.
So those
Wanna go to
pictures,
that?
yes, please. Those pictures are what the plans look like, the colors it's going to be, the staircase, the doorways. They're going to insulate it. We didn't have much insulation before. So it should be A-okay. They're supposed to be starting on that sometime this month. I haven't seen anything yet. I know they've pulled the building permits and it's all been approved. So we're just waiting them to hit the ground.
This is a significant upgrade we need the wind to blow down more facilities.
No, no.
Right.
I'm trying to.
So again, they're trying to replicate as much as they can, what it was.
Yes,
It wasn't that tall, was it? Was it 3 floors?
it was that tall.
It
Yeah.
was.
I mean, for insurance purposes, of course it was, but
Yeah, it was, that's what it was.
Now, what about, did we address the ADA issues as far as the sidewalk goes?
So because we're using the same footings, we don't have to upgrade to be ADA compliant, which would mean elevator, basically. Because
Okay.
it's on the same, it's a rebuild on the same footing. It just has to meet code for safety reasons.
I'm talking about the rock wall on the sidewalk that's not ADA. It looks like somebody just put it there.
So like at the base of that structure, where the sidewalk is, it appears to be narrower than
Yeah, you can't get a wheelchair.
a wheelchair.
So, I mean, the press box and the rebuild of the press box wouldn't have anything to do with the sidewalk or the pavement there. They're strictly just rebuilding the press box.
Answer your questions, no.
So it's not gonna, the press box is not.
It's not gonna change the sidewalk. No,
So eventually the town would have to take that rock wall down, and it won't be.
I would think so.
Because that's totally, we
Yeah.
get a lot of trouble for it. It's just not ADA compliant. And we
Correct.
measured it and I already spent the time on that. So as long as that's great. That's great. And
So,
is there any way we can look at the building plans at the next facilities committee or?
The building plans, yes.
I'd like to see the building plans.
Well, depending on when we have it, I hope we can just walk out and see it, because it shouldn't take a tremendous amount of time.
right, let's hope we could just do
And
it.
should be built this month, so, that's what we were told, so
Correct.
time is flying. I mean, it's already the 10th of August, but I would think we'd be able to just walk out and take a peek at it.
Hopefully by the next meeting, it should be there. There was 4 or 5, there was several hydration stations in the middle school that hadn't been upgraded yet, so we're just waiting for the vendor to come in and do it. We're waiting to get on the schedule.
We're gonna activate all the water bubblers again.
Right, oh, I was gonna say, yeah, please.
Yep.
That you can push the button and
Yep.
drink, yes.
Those are all, we need to
Make
put
sure
those all back on, Sue.
We gotta make sure-
Leslie and I just wrote that down.
Yeah, and make.
Put the hardware back, that's all.
Right, they can make sure they're clean too.
Yep. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the bubblers.
I pushed the button.
Oh, absolutely. It was a COVID thing. We just
Yeah,
did it.
no, I mean, it's like, and to be honest, like, we had a problem this summer, that there was no cups, it was hot, and the thing didn't work, so
Yeah.
that's good to know. Thank
Yep.
you.
What's the picture of the doors, Sue?
So the doors, next on the list was just roof repair at Deer Hill. There was a leaking at Deer Hill that we're waiting for the insurance to cover, so that's ongoing. We're waiting for the vendor to come out with quotes for all the rekeying of the outside doors. The pictures of the doors that you just saw, I've been educated on what ballistic window film looks like. So Pat, if you could scroll to those double
I'm gonna
doors.
stay there, okay? I'm not gonna. go
Yeah, you
back.
don't have to go, I have the memo, you don't have to go back to the memo. So, if you can see around the inside of that glass, the black
Yes.
raised, that is, if you have a window that has that black raised, that has ballistic window film on it. So that new middle school entry did not have it. So that has since been installed and completed. So that now has the ballistic film on it. So anytime you see a raised black trim like that, you know there's ballistic film on it. The vending machine, I don't have pictures of the vending machine. Last we knew, it was scheduled to be built and shipped on August 12th, so that would be Friday. So hopefully we see it sometime next week. We then have to fill it with food and come up with a plan of what exactly we're going to put in it. So that's more information coming on that. The Cook Estate sewer connection, that has started. I know there's concerns about what traffic is gonna look like in the driveways to Deer Hill and Osgood. We've been assured that it will not block off any traffic coming through. It might delay just because there's equipment sitting, but it will not block off any of our driveways getting to the schools. And custodians, so the custodians and the food service have both signed their contracts, which is great. Custodians, as I mentioned earlier, they have begun to do their landscaping work. It's only been 3 Saturdays. They did have to purchase lawnmowers and weed whackers and chainsaw to cut some dead trees down and leaf blowers. So I know on the back hill, they cut a bunch of dead trees. They've been slowly working on it. If we give them some time, I think you're gonna see a tremendous difference in what it looks like, because they've wanted to work on it. They take pride in what the outside looks like, and now they have the go ahead. So I think we're gonna see something really nice on the outside. I mean, I know, at least on our side, the trash barrel that was never emptied is always empty now. Every morning I come in, it's empty. And then the PA systems, we've received the quotes and they've placed the orders, and they're going to start working on the PA systems in all of our buildings to upgrade those. What else? Other news, cafeteria. So for another year, the food service has been, every student is free. There'll be no charge for school lunches for the next school year again, which is great. It's definitely a big revenue builder for us, because we get credit for everybody that eats. I mentioned the 3 new bus drivers. The track is going to be resurfaced in the next week or so. I'm just waiting for the town accountant to close out FY22 and roll the year. FY23 is up and running fast. I don't know if there are any other questions, but that's pretty much it for the update right now. I think there was one more picture on there. I don't know if it was at the end, if we hit all the pictures, Pat. Did I lose you? Oh, no.